During the Gaokao, I purposely got all the bonus questions right, just to stay far away from school belle Liu Ruyan. After stepping out of the exam room, school belle Liu Ruyan's friends mocked me, Chen Fan. Liu Ruyan said he didn't do well on the exam. You better hand in a blank paper this afternoon. Otherwise, you won't have a chance to simp for him later. After finishing, she burst into uproarious laughter. I looked at Liu Ruyan, who was full of disgust, nodded with my mouth and said, I know. While thinking in my heart, whoever wants to be this simpery dog can take it. I'm definitely not putting up with this anymore. I immediately turned around and called the butler to instantly cancel all financial support to his family and sweep their whole family out onto the street. Liu Ruyan frenziedly called me 99 times. I didn't pick up a single one of them. Now, to panic, what were you doing earlier? In my past life as the son of the richest man, I crazily simped for our driver's daughter. In order to marry her, I transferred the company my father left me to her. Yet she spent my money while starting a romance with someone else. Her boyfriend was doted on by her like a cute little puppy, while I was bossed around by her like a servant. On the day of her wedding, I called her wanting to borrow some money for medical care, but she cruelly said all those years of you pestering me were simply my nightmare. Very annoying. Please quickly stay away from me. At death's door, I looked at the woman holding me and only then realized that wealthy elite young lady I once rejected had actually been waiting for me all along. Opening my eyes again, I found myself back in senior year of high school. In this year, I was dozing off slumped over my desk, woken up by the toxic girl Liu Ruyan into deep sleep. My stomach feels a bit uncomfortable. Hurry up and go help him buy some stomach medicine. And go to the cafeteria to get more meat in the meal. He's too skinny and needs a good nourishment. Living a few years, I would slump over the table, surrounded by a crowd like the stars guarding the moon. His stomach hurts and everyone is feeling sorry for him. Yet the person who cares about him most of all is of course Liu Ruyan. The two of them have always been the runner-ups in the class. In other people's eyes, they are a match made in heaven. They're a golden boy and jade girl. While I was Liu Ruyan's brainless simp, dozing off during class every day, bringing meals to Liu Ruyan after class, running errands everywhere, realizing I had been reincarnated, seeing this ugly face of Liu Ruyan again, I just found it utterly laughable. How on earth does this Liu Ruyan have the nerve to trash me like this? Seeing me frozen in a daze, Liu Ruyan spoke up, what are you spacing out for? Why don't you hurry up and go back? After saying that, she walked over to Lu Jingnian's side, gently patting his back. At this moment, Lu Jingnian glanced at me. Is it good to let Chen Fan go? You should still go yourself. What are you afraid of? He just likes doing this kind of stuff. If I don't let him do it, he gets unhappy, right? Right, he looked towards me, twitched the corners of my lips, and went to the cafeteria without uttering a word. This time, I waited in line and got 2 portions of food. The classmates next to me saw me and chuckled softly, coming to get food for school belle Liu again. But the person she likes is Lu Jingnian, that kind of person who is just as exceptional as her. She looks down on trash like you. What kind of trash am I? Aren't you just a servant's son? Going to school with the young miss every day, and daydreaming that you can marry the young miss. You better wake up from your dream. A guy as stupid and useless as you can only be a servant of the young miss's family in the future, helping him wash clothes and sweep the floor, helping his son change diapers. I angrily yelled out, Liu Ruyan told you guys I'm a servant's son. Before it was because I liked her that I specially permitted him to ride every day, in the car that picks up and drops off herself for school. Yet now, in other people's eyes, Liu Ruyan became the big young lady, while I became the servant's son. Seeing me ask such a question, the other person rolled their eyes at me. Duh, obviously. Hurry up and take the lunch over to the young missy. Stop messing around, the other person said, and started laughing again. People in front and behind were all laughing. Laughing at my simpery behavior. Laughing at my pipe dreams. The bell rang. I came out of the cafeteria and didn't return to the classroom. I sat down by the flower bed and ate both meals together. I could no longer remember when the last time I had a proper meal was. Because of no money, I couldn't afford good things at all. Every time it was when the vegetable market was closing that I went over to pick up the vegetables other people didn't want. Meat was something I couldn't even dare to think about. I finished eating both portions and only then slightly eased the feeling of hunger. When I returned to the classroom, the first class bell had already rung. Liu Ruyan saw me come in and angrily asked, why did you only come now? Where is the medicine you bought? What medicine? I coldly looked at him. Completely devoid of the enthusiasm I had when looking at him on weekdays, Liu Ruyan speechlessly looked at me. Where is the stomach medicine I told you to buy for Lu Jinian? I said his stomach is uncomfortable. Are your ears deaf? You can't even handle such a tiny matter well. I glanced at Lu Jinian, whose face was pale as paper. What kind of relationship do I have with Lu Jinian? Why on earth should I buy medicine for him? Lu Jinian's family background is average. Ever since getting to know Liu Ruyan has been especially good to him. Every time my dad had something good for me, Liu Ruyan would take it and give it to Lu Jinian. Even the watch that Lu Jinian is wearing on his hand right now is mine. These two people maxing out my card, using my money, enjoying everything of mine, yet bossing me around like a servant? Fine, Chen Fan. You want to make a scene, right? If you're gonna be like this, next time don't blame me for ignoring you. Don't wait until then and only know how to beg me to forgive you. At this moment, I stared at Liu Ruyan, feeling amused by his words. Is there any place where I need your forgiveness? What did I do wrong? Seeing that I actually dared to talk back to Liu Ruyan, everyone else looked over what's going on. This simp actually changed his nature. Liu Ruyan was also stunned for a moment. He gazed at me, recalling how I looked every time I came to beg him. If you have the ability, don't go home with me this afternoon. I nodded, okay, sure. As I said that, I walked over to my own seat and sat down. As if I hadn't heard clearly what Liu Ruyan was saying, and just agreed in my heart. Lu Jinian's deskmate Wang Yan saw this scene, and directly stood up to uphold justice. No, Chen Fan. What is wrong with you? You were just asked to buy some medicine, and you can't even buy the medicine. Didn't you see that Lu Jinian is not feeling well? I coldly glanced at him since that's the case. Why don't you go buy it right now? Wang Yan instead acted righteous and confident. This is something you are supposed to do. Why should I go? Then I have no blood relation or connection to Lu Jingnian. Why should I buy it? Wang Yan pointed at me. You're a servant in the schoolbell's family. Now having you buy medicine for the schoolbell's friend, isn't this only natural and righteous? Bringing this up, I looked at Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan, is it you who went around saying everywhere outside that I'm a servant in your family? I locked my gaze directly on him, while Liu Ruyan felt a flash of a guilty conscience. Of course not. These were all things others guessed. After seeing him get dropped off by luxury cars every day, he just didn't explain it, that's all. He couldn't possibly tell people that his father was just a driver, and that he was the daughter of the driver in my family. If you didn't buy the medicine, fine, then forget it. I'll go buy it myself in a bit. Thinking that I liked him, Liu Ruyan figured it was normal that I was unwilling to buy medicine for Lu Jinian. Liu Ruyan glanced at me. Did you get the meal? Even if you didn't buy food, you must have bought meals normally, right? And he heard the classmate who serves food say that they just saw me get 2 portions of food. I calmly replied I ate them. What did you say? You ate both portions. Watching Liu Ruyan's somewhat agitated look, I nodded. The classmates sitting in the front rows heard this, and all looked at me with disdain. Are you a pig or what to finish 2 portions? They were used to kissing up to Liu Ruyan, and looked down on me, previously considering that they were all friends of Liu Ruyan. I gave them face, and didn't want to offend anyone around Liu Ruyan, hoping they would say good things for me. Now I realized I was just spoiling them way too much. Clearly, every time Liu Ruyan treated them to meals or whatever, it was all paid for with my money. I was spending my own money, let alone eating 2 portions. Even eating 20 portions would be completely justified. The classmate in the front row heard my words, and their face turned dark, finally muttering under their breath, spending your own money. Your money was all given by the schoolbell's family, right? I couldn't even be bothered to explain. Yet Liu Ruyan beside me had already grown angry, especially since I didn't even get food for him, causing him to not even get to eat. His temper flared up even more. He glared at me, Chen Fan. You brought this on yourself. I hope you can hold out for 2 more days this time. Saying that, he stood right up, took his own things, and told Lu Jingyan's deskmate, Wang Yan, I'm switching with you. You go sit with him. Every single time he got unhappy, that was how he punished me, unwilling to be deskmates with me anymore. After all, having him sit and be deskmates with me was something I begged for previously. He was considered my tutor, sitting right beside me. He could explain lessons and tutor me, yet now thinking back on it, what kind of lessons did Liu Ruyan ever teach me? Every day, he only knew how to boss me around. He still seemed to think this could bluff me. Yet I didn't pay any attention to him at all. Liu Ruyan didn't get to eat his meal, and Lu Jinian kept suffering due to his upset stomach. He sat off to the side with a darkened face, glancing at me sitting by the window. This time, Liu Ruyan was genuinely angry, thinking that when I came to apologize later, he would make me feel his wrath. When school let out in the afternoon, the Maybach that came to pick me up parked right at the entrance. After stepping out of the school gate, I walked straight toward the car. The whole school now knew I had offended Liu Ruyan, and everyone was waiting to watch my joke. Seeing that I actually had the thick skin to get into the car, they couldn't help but point and gossip about me. Didn't he even refuse to buy food for the school bell? How is he so shameless as to keep bumming rides off someone else's car? He's just a servant's son. Does he really think of himself as the young master now? School bell Liu hasn't even arrived yet, and he has the nerve to get in the car. School bell Liu's temper is just way too good. If it were me encountering someone who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, a servant's son like this, I would have directly gotten him fired. Listening to those mocking voices, I couldn't care less about dealing with them. After getting into the car, I directly instructed the driver just drive. The driver glanced over at me, but Miss Liu hasn't arrived yet. Let's wait a bit longer. Sometimes, Liu Ruyan would arrive late because of student council matters. Back then, I would always wait, originally thinking I'd have to wait a long time today. I didn't expect that as soon as I came, I'd want to tell him to drive myself, seeing that the driver didn't follow my command, and actually wanted to speak up for Liu Ruyan. I couldn't help but find it laughable. Uncle Liu, my dad only has me as an only son. Where on earth does our family have any young miss? Did you have a fight with Liu Ruyan or something? Young master, don't worry. I'll discipline him later. No need, just drive right now. I don't want to travel the same path as him, and I don't want to see him ever again. Uncle Liu wore a look of hesitation at this moment, and didn't listen to my words. He knew all too well how terrified I was of his mother. Every time Liu Ruyan said something, I never dared to talk back. Even if I didn't listen to his words, nothing much would happen to me. At most, it would just be Liu Ruyan scolding me a bit, thinking that I would inherit the family fortune in the future, and all that money would belong to his own daughter. The driver no longer regarded himself as a driver now, putting on public airs in front of me ahead of time. Are you getting out or not? I frowned. Actually, Dad had wanted to fire him for a long time, because he heard he was gambling behind the scenes. Father felt that keeping such a person in the household was truly unsafe. But back then, my brain was broken, and I kept speaking up for him, thinking that if he stayed, Liu Ruyan would be able to stay in the Chen family as well. So I said quite a few good things for him, and even said he was exceptionally good to me. That was how this driver managed to stay until now. Yet, who would have thought that now he actually even dared to ignore the words of me, his master? They had already arrived. Seeing Liu Ruyan appear at the entrance, Uncle Liu hurriedly got out of the car. Liu Ruyan was supporting Liu Jingnian, and the two of them walked together toward the car. Uncle Liu helped him open the car door, and Liu Ruyan was about to help Liu Jingnian into the car. Because I liked Liu Ruyan, in order to let him go home together with me, Liu Jingnian always shared the ride with us every single time. The driver would drop off Liu Jingnian first, before driving us back home. Not only that, in the morning, I also had to crawl out of bed super early, just to go pick up Liu Jingnian first. Before Liu Jingnian could get into the car, I spoke up. Didn't you say you weren't going back with me this afternoon? Why are you still trying to take my car? The onlookers among the classmates saw this scene, and couldn't help cursing out loud. What is wrong with Chen Fan? Isn't this clearly the school bell's car? Why is he still acting like he's the master? Yeah, exactly. Letting him ride along in the car is already being courteous enough, and he actually has the nerve to forbid the young miss from coming. Everyone chimed in, one after another. Liu Ruyan gazed at me, his expression somewhat rigid, not understanding what medicine I took wrongly today, refusing to step down even when given a way out. Do you really have to be like this? I didn't even stay mad at you about what happened at noon, and decided to forgive you. Chen Fan, are you really going to keep making a scene? I don't need your forgiveness. Go back on your own. Don't travel the same road as me. Liu Ruyan's face turned alternately pale and livid. He also knew that in everyone else's eyes, he played the role of a wealthy second-gen persona. If he didn't share a car with me at this moment, wouldn't his true identity be exposed? He simply reached out and directly pulled me down from the car. Then he let Liu Jinian get into the car instead. Liu Ruyan, don't go too far. I admit I was pissed off by him. Many things from the past I could no longer remember clearly. Seeing Liu Ruyan's ugly face this time around, I couldn't fathom how I managed to endure it all before, and even thought he was wonderful. Liu Ruyan ignored me, obviously not planning to reason with me either. Telling his dad to drive, Uncle Liu actually drove the car straight away, leaving me behind right there on the spot. The onlookers saw this scene and couldn't help laughing out loud. Well done. He deserved to be treated like that. He's really too unreasonable. I pulled out my cell phone. This phone was bought by Liu Ruyan for himself. A Nokia worth a few $100. To cozy up to him, I had given him the Apple phone that my dad gave me for my birthday and took his lousy phone instead. Back then, I felt that this could protect his self-esteem. Now looking at this lousy phone, it felt rather laughable. I still ended up calling Dad. Before long, the Maybach that had just driven away came back again. The car parked at the entrance once more. Uncle Liu stepped out of the car, and seeing my expression looked somewhat troubled. Young master, looking at his appearance, he was obviously scolded. I had those two people get down. I didn't want to ride in the same car with them. Uncle Liu looked at the two people on the car. Liu Ruyan supported Liu Jinian down. Liu Jinian never expected this turn of events either. Watching my expression turn paler and paler, Chen Fan. It's fine if you find me an eyesore, but there's no need for you to target Liu Ruyan like this, right? He's always been pretty good to you, haven't he? Liu Ruyan grabbed hold of Liu Jinian. Don't talk to him about this. Seeing that both of them had gotten down, I only then got into the car. Right before leaving, I rolled down the car window and smiled as I waved goodbye to Liu Ruyan. Uncle Liu glanced at me through the rearview mirror, not expecting me to act so ruthlessly. He couldn't help speaking up, young master. Arguing with people is a very normal thing to happen. Don't be angry either. I'll have Liu Ruyan come apologize to you later. It's just that he doesn't have a car right now either. I'm afraid he'll have to go take public transportation himself. Who knows what time it'll be when he gets home. Everyone else can take public transportation. Is he unable to take it? Uncle Liu, did you forget who pays your salary? If you find me an eyesore, how about you just resign directly, daring to lecture me on what to do? Just because he set his sights on his daughter, could he stop putting me in his eyes? Uncle Liu heard my words and was so scared he hurriedly shut his mouth when, returning home, Joshin saw me, young master. Why did you come back alone? How come Miss Liu didn't come back with you? From now on, there is no Miss Liu in our family. Hearing me speak, Joshin was stunned for a moment. My family's young master has actually sobered up. He had always been so good to Liu Ruyan, so good that the mother and daughter of the Liu family couldn't even tell who was master and who was servant anymore. Many times Joshin had wanted to say something, but didn't dare to because I would get unhappy. Hearing me say these words this time around, Joshin felt deeply moved inside. He gazed at me. He was the one among the family servants who treated me the best. Yet previously, because he always managed Liu Ruyan's affairs, I instead found him an eyesore. Later, after Liu Ruyan took charge of the household, Joshin was the very first one to be driven away. Recalling all those things from the past, seeing Joshin again today, my eye sockets felt sour. I'll go upstairs first. Miss Lee has come over. I'll tell her to go straight back. Actually, Li Xia often came to the house, but because she was someone arranged for me by my father, I liked Liu Ruyan and found Li Xia annoying to death in my heart. Every time she came, I wouldn't even meet her, and would directly have someone send her away, to the point that in the end, Li Xia and I hadn't even met a few times. Thinking that right before my death, it was her people who sent me to the hospital, and she actually still remembered the fact that she was my fiancée. I stopped Joshin. I'll go see her. Where is she? In the backyard, playing with Dabai? I arrived at the backyard and saw Li Xia feeding Dabai. This dog was one I wanted to raise myself, but Liu Ruyan said he didn't like dogs, so I stopped getting close to it. Never would I have thought that Li Xia actually got along quite well with Dabai, thinking of hearing people mention her before my death. Clearly someone with such great conditions, yet staying single for so many years. My eye sockets turned red. Li Xia finished petting Dabai before raising her head to look at me, seeing me standing at the entrance not knowing when I had arrived. She was about to walk over, yet remembered how much I hated her, and stopped her footsteps. Young master Chen Li Xia looked good, but had a steady personality, clearly the exact same age as me, yet she seemed to already look like someone in her early 20s. As for her grades, they were always at the top of the province. He was the person Liu Ruyan couldn't stand the most. Liu Ruyan always claimed Li Xia only had great conditions, and that her family gave her a lot of study resources, which was why she could be so exceptional. If he had her conditions, he definitely wouldn't be any worse than Li Xia. Every time he saw Li Xia's grades, Liu Ruyan would feel very uncomfortable, to the point that I too couldn't help treating Li Xia as an enemy. Yet thinking about it carefully, I had never had any intersection with her. How on earth had she ever offended me? Seeing her this time around, I managed to suppress my emotions with great difficulty and asked, "Are you looking for me for something?" Just came over to take a look, seeing that I didn't make a sound. Li Xia lost her composure. "I know you don't want to see me. I'll leave right away." She hadn't originally expected to be able to see me either. She just wanted to come over and check on Dabai, never expecting that I would actually be willing to see her. This was already more than enough for her. Seeing that she was about to leave, I opened my mouth to ask, "Would you like to stay for dinner?" Hearing this, Li Xia was pleasantly surprised and looked over with astonishment. "Is that okay?" At this moment, the setting sun shone upon me, giving my whole person a bit more approachability. "Of course you can." At this time, Liu Ruyan hadn't come back yet. He had to drop off Lu Jinian at home. If it were back in the past, I definitely would have waited for him to return before having dinner. Seeing that I wanted to eat so early today, Joshin was somewhat surprised. "Aren't we waiting for Miss Liu?" "What are we waiting for him for?" Because the household servants were all used to me acting as Liu Ruyan's simpery dog. Now that I wasn't simping anymore, weren't they still getting used to it? Joshin didn't ask much further. "All right, I'll go arrange it right away." "Oh, right. By the way, notify Uncle Liu that he doesn't need to come anymore tomorrow." Joshin was slightly stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted. After all, a master's affairs shouldn't be questioned too much. Having dismissed Liu Ruyan's father, I sat down in the Chinese restaurant. Li Xia had originally been peeking at me secretly. Seeing me sit down now, She awkwardly shifted her gaze away to the side. Never would I have thought that Licia at this time would be so innocent and pure. I couldn't even help wanting to tease her. Why aren't you looking at me? Is it that ugly? Although my grades are terrible. My looks are okay. If I hadn't been scammed like that by Liu Ruyan later on, I wouldn't have fallen to that kind of state either. No, she gazed at me with a calm look. But if you looked closely, you could see that even her ears were red. I smiled slightly and asked, right. I heard your academic grades have always been very good. Facing my enthusiasm, Licia was still somewhat unaccustomed. It's alright. Do you usually have any reliable tutoring teachers? Recommend some to me. After all, counting on Liu Ruyan was out of the question. In this lifetime, I never wanted to be like my previous life again, thinking that my father could protect me for a lifetime, without even turning the pages of a book properly, taking advantage of the fact that there's still a chance now. I want to pull my grades back up. Licia had good resources. If it was a teacher recommended by her, it might actually be useful. You want to find a tutoring teacher that Liu Ruyan. She previously heard that I had a tutoring teacher, who was my classmate, which was why Liu Ruyan kept staying at my house. He got fired, because Liu Ruyan looked down on me completely, and wouldn't have any patience to tutor me at all. All the money I gave went down the drain completely. Licia was somewhat surprised instead, seeing that I was very serious, and didn't look like I was joking. She picked up her cup and took a sip. To mask her nervousness, I don't have a tutoring teacher. I study all by myself. If you don't mind, I can come over every day to tutor you. Although she figured there was a high probability I wouldn't agree. After all, I previously couldn't even be bothered to look at her. She was already very surprised today that I was willing to keep her behind for dinner. Who would have known that after listening to my words, I was actually full of pleasant surprise? Really? Licia nodded, flustered and flattered. As long as you're willing. I can do it, of course, no problem. I'm just afraid of delaying your studies. Aren't you going to study too? It's fine, it won't affect it. Although Licia didn't have much expression on her face, her gaze was indeed very gentle. She had already finished studying high school coursework long ago, and even had a guaranteed admission spot. But afraid of arousing my aversion, she didn't dare say it, then thank you very much. My grades are terrible. Just don't find me stupid, and that's enough. Liu Ruyan's grades were also very good, yet he didn't have any patience with me at all. Whenever we encountered the same math problem and I didn't understand it after one explanation, he would scold me. Originally, my grades were still in the middle, but later under his tutoring, my grades actually regressed a lot instead, making me completely lose all self-confidence. No way then, I'll come to your house to find you after school starting from now on. The two of us were eating our meal, and seeing that Licia looked very quiet, I picked up my chopsticks and picked some food for her. Treat this like your own home. No need to be polite. And it was right at this moment that Liu Ruyan, having sent Lu Jingnian home, walked in. He had just received the news that his father had been fired, and his father had chewed him out and scolded him thoroughly, seeing that I was eating and hadn't waited for him at all, and that all the dishes on the table had already been touched. His face immediately sank. I coldly glanced at him and continued eating my meal. Liu Ruyan had originally wanted to find me to ask about his father's matter. As a result, seeing Licia right here, he displeasedly asked, why is she here? In the past, in order to cozy up to him. I never walked very close to other girls. Every time Licia came over, I would drive her away directly without even taking a look. Yet never would I have thought that I was actually keeping someone here for dinner now. She is my guest. Do you have an opinion? Liu Ruyan had no choice but to sit down and gaze at me. Did you deliberately call her over to accompany you? Just to piss me off, right? Licia sat off to the side without saying a word. I looked toward Liu Ruyan and said, you're overthinking it. Liu Ruyan, you aren't that important. In the past, I felt this woman was my entire world, and everything about me had to revolve around him. But starting over once again. Now when I look at him, I only feel disgust and loathing. Continuing to like this kind of person would only cause my life to plunge into an endless abyss. If you think that hanging out with other girls can make me angry, then Chen Fan, you really are overthinking it big time. Seeing you being intimate with others, I'd actually be thrilled instead. Lest you only know how to come annoy me all day long. After finishing his words, he went straight upstairs back to his own room. I was left speechless. As soon as Liu Ruyan left, I could see Licia's gaze across from me turned complicated. Don't listen to his wild talk. He wouldn't get mad just because of this, right? I felt a bit uneasy in my heart. What surprised me was that Licia didn't say a single word about this. Her attitude seemed somewhat cold. After finishing dinner, I saw Licia out the door. Watching her go, be careful on the road, alright? She left without saying much else to me either, looking like she had very few words. When I returned home, Liu Ruyan walked down from the stairs. Although he did a lot of evil things later on, this face of his was indeed quite decent, looking gentle and quiet. I used to be totally fooled by this appearance of his back then. At this moment, Liu Ruyan spoke to me. Why did you get my dad fired? He hadn't said these words in front of outsiders just now. That was because he didn't want everyone to know that he was actually just the daughter of the Chen family's driver. Making a scene in front of Li Xia would cause him to lose face completely. I speechlessly said, do I need to explain to you when I fire a driver? He's my dad. Everything today was something I told him to do. It has nothing to do with him. If you have the ability, come at me instead. If you have the guts, come at me instead. Then go ahead and fire me. As soon as firing was mentioned, I instantly felt my spirit perk up. I stared at Liu Ruyan. Fine. No problem. What were you saying just now? Liu Ruyan stared at me in surprise. Seeing this, I said, haven't you always felt, since things are like this, then let's just call it quits from now on. You move out of my house. I'll find a different tutor. Ever since you started tutoring me, my grades have actually gone from bad to worse. I feel like you don't deserve the high salary I'm giving you, at all. Liu Ruyan thought I was just joking around with him. Never expected that I was now truly going to fire him, and not let him be my tutor anymore. Your bad academic grades are because you're simply too dumb and can't keep up. Whenever I explain the exact same math problem to Liu Jinian once, he understands it immediately. What about you? You're as dumb as a pig, and this is my fault too. Even if you switched to any other teacher, it would be the exact same. No one can teach you any better. This is completely your own problem. Seeing him still trying to find faults in me at a time like this, move out of the house. Liu Ruyan tightened his brows. Chen Fan, are you even a student right now or what? Your mind should be focused on your studies. No wonder your grades are so bad. What on earth are you talking about? Aren't all these little tricks of yours just because you're jealous that Lu Jing, Nian and I have a good relationship, and so your mood went sour? But right now, I only want to focus on studying and strive to get accepted into an exceptional university. Unlike you, who can live without even going to school. With family, money still more than enough to spare. So it's impossible for me to be together with you right now. I gazed intently at the woman in front of me, feeling somewhat shocked in my heart. After a few seconds of reacting, who wants to be together with you? No, Liu Ruyan, where on earth do you get all your confidence from? Do you really think I would want to be with you? Clearly, if I don't fancy you, you're nothing at all. Liu Ruyan only assumed I was just being stubborn. Think whatever you want. However, I must remind you, if you keep Li Xia behind to eat meals at home again next time, don't blame me for ignoring you, all right? After saying that, he walked straight back to his own room and slammed the door shut heavily. I returned to my room and subsequently dialed Zhou Shen's phone. Number Zhu Shen, move Liu Ruyan's belongings out of the room tomorrow. My house cannot tolerate such a person who wants to step all over my head. Then I asked for Li Xia's mobile number, saved it in my phone, and conveniently sent her a message, have you arrived home yet? Yet she didn't reply. In the morning when I got up, since I no longer needed to go pick up Liu Jinian, I could sleep naturally until I woke up on my own. I originally thought Liu Ruyan had already left, unexpectedly after getting out of bed. I saw him sitting at the dining table, waiting for me. I found a spot and sat down to begin enjoying my breakfast. Every day, in order to rush over to pick up Liu Jinian, I practically never got to eat breakfast properly at home. Seeing Liu Ruyan waiting for me here this time around. If I'm not picking him up, you can leave earlier. After finishing breakfast, I walked out, while Liu Ruyan followed closely behind my heels. The driver had already been swapped to someone else, who proactively helped me open the car door. I got into the car, and Liu Ruyan followed and got in as well. I looked over at him and said, School bell Liu, what is the meaning of this? Didn't you say you weren't going to share a ride with me anymore? I remember the words you said yesterday, crystal clear. Liu Ruyan kept a pure expression and didn't speak. If it weren't for father insisting that I coax you, I wouldn't coax you at all. Isn't it just having a little money at home and liking to bully others by abusing power? What's so great about that? Yet my father still needs this job. I couldn't be bothered to waste time here with him and told the driver to drive. The two of them arrived at the school gate. I got down from the car and Liu Ruyan followed behind me. Whenever they came in the past, they always brought Liu Jinian along together. Today, Liu Jinian came by taking public transportation himself. Seeing Liu Ruyan, he hurried on over. Liu Jinian's gaze landed on me. Yesterday, I caused a scene, and he couldn't make heads or tails of it either. A servant's son actually dared to be so arrogant toward Liu Ruyan. Seeing Liu Ruyan go to school together with me, he asked, you guys made up? Regarding this, I didn't pay any attention to them, and walked straight ahead towards the inside, while Liu Ruyan gazed at my back. Seeing that I completely ignored him, he slightly knitted his brows, and said to Liu Jinian, I have nothing to argue about with him. No matter what, letting a servant's son bully you right onto your head like this. Your temper is way too good. Right now, everyone is gossiping that Chen Fan is actually the big young master. There's no need to care about their views. My dad has a pretty good relationship with Chen Fan. He asked me to take good care of Chen Fan more. And I can't just ignore him, right? Alright, fine. Seeing that he was acting like this because of his father's matter, Lu Jinian felt slightly relieved in his heart. I arrived at the classroom, and Wang Yan was already here. He stood blocking my spot and wouldn't let me in. Move aside. Wang Yan glanced over at me and spoke up saying, "You're too shameless. Yesterday, you actually directly left school, Belle Liu and Lu Jinian, hanging there while you made the driver drive the car away yourself." I stared at Wang Yan and let out a laugh. "That's my own car. I have the right to not let others hitch a ride. Do I need you to care who do you think you are?" Seeing this righteous and confident look of mine, everyone couldn't help feeling curious. "Are you saying that Maybach belongs to your family? Otherwise, what?" I calmly glanced at the person who spoke, while Wang Yan chuckled softly, "With just a punk like you. Chen Fan, what kind of person you are, we know crystal clear. You still want to act like a rich young master here now? Do you really have that qualification? I heard that driver is your dad after all. Your whole family works odd jobs at the Liu family. School Belle Liu has a good heart, which is why she doesn't bicker with you. Otherwise, she would have already swept you out onto the street. But don't push your luck too far with how you act either." Wang Yan had a good relationship with Lu Jinian, and Lu Jinian frequently hung out with Liu Ruyan. Hearing him say it like that, everyone successively believed his words. Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian had already appeared at the classroom entrance. Liu Ruyan's expression appeared somewhat stiff, because those words Wang Yan said actually weren't pointing accusations at me, but were scolding him instead. He walked over and addressed Wang Yan. "Go back to your own seat." Wang Yan helplessly cast a sideways glance at Liu Ruyan. He clearly sensed Liu Ruyan's displeasure, and had no choice but to move his things away. Liu Ruyan sat down next to me once again. Facing this action of his, I didn't pay him much attention either. After all, I didn't care about his moves. He was the teacher's pet, and his interpersonal relationships were quite decent. If he changed seats, others wouldn't say anything to him either. Wang Yan sat next to Lu Jinian, feeling somewhat unconvinced inside, and said to Lu Jinian, "What is the meaning of this? Chen Fan is already riding on his head, and he's still protecting him like this. Chen Fan even moved over to live with him now. His dad asked him to take good care of Chen Fan. There's no other meaning to it. Don't overthink things. So it was because of this? No wonder I said, how could Chen Fan be like that? He even claimed that car belonged to their family. The phone Liu Ruyan uses himself looks super expensive at a glance. And the gift he gave you wasn't cheap either. Looking at the phone Chen Fan uses, it's about the same as mine, yet he's still plotting to disguise himself as a rich young heir. Who would believe that?" I sat at my seat and secretly took a peek at my phone. Li Xia finally replied to my message. Just a single character, looking truly cold and aloof. I couldn't help recalling her attitude toward me yesterday. Very friendly. But after going back, her attitude became cold instead, clearly replying only now to the message sent last night. At this moment, Liu Ruyan happened to sit off to the side. Seeing that I was checking messages, and the contact name was still Li Xia, he couldn't help knitting his brows. Clearly nothing had changed anywhere. Yet starting from yesterday, he felt as if I had turned into a completely different person. I pulled out my phone and sent a message to Li Xia. "Then, are you still coming for tutoring this afternoon?" Li Xia again only replied with a single character, "As long as she comes, that's fine." I didn't bother with this matter any further either. I was unbelievably serious in class. At noon, Lu Jinian came over and went downstairs to eat lunch together with Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan unconsciously glanced at me and asked me, "Aren't you going to eat?" My level of seriousness today made Liu Ruyan feel amazed, actually not even dozing off during class. Right now, I was still carefully organizing my notes. In the past, he scoffed that my head was full of only him every day. To actually have a time when I studied seriously. Seeing that I was still busy after class ended, Liu Ruyan couldn't help asking out of curiosity, yet I seemed to not hear him speak at all, and directly ignored him. Lu Jinian glanced at Liu Ruyan and said, "If Chen Fan isn't going, let's go by ourselves, and bring some up for him in a bit." No need, I rejected Lu Jinian's good intentions. Lu Jinian was a good guy. At least in everyone's eyes, he always was. Therefore, even if others mocked him behind his back, Lu Jinian's mindset toward himself was still optimistic and positive, but I definitely didn't want to owe anyone any favors. I properly organized my belongings, and then I stood up. Without going downstairs together with them, Lu Jinian followed beside Liu Ruyan and said, "What's up with him ignoring you too? Where on earth did you offend him?" Liu Ruyan was also puzzled. He likewise wanted to figure it out. No matter how cold he was to me, usually, I would always cling to him like a lapdog. Yet, starting from yesterday, clearly he didn't do anything. Yet I was still in this kind of state, which really made people feel bewildered. By the way, do you want to invite him to your birthday party this weekend? This week happened to be Liu Ruyan's birthday. When Liu Ruyan celebrated his birthday last year, it was spent at the Imperial Palace Hotel. I booked the hotel and then arranged everything smoothly, allowing Liu Ruyan to invite the classmates in our class, spending hundreds of thousands in a single night. The classmates who went all sang endless praises about it. I felt that attending Liu Ruyan's birthday party was an honor. This time was naturally the same. As early as a few days ago, I had already arranged all the matters properly. If I hadn't said I was going to fire him, Liu Ruyan wouldn't think much of it this time either. But after I said those words yesterday and had a cold demeanor again today, it made him unable to stop overthinking. If I don't go, then will his birthday party even happen? Seeing my figure that had already walked far away, Liu Ruyan couldn't help comforting himself in his heart. Whatever. What am I worrying about? He will definitely come. Could he really not even care about my birthday? Perhaps he's intentionally acting this cold to me just to give me a surprise. Thinking of this, his mood relaxed slightly and said to Liu Jinian he will definitely come. That makes sense. He waited every time for your birthday. In the afternoon, Liu Ruyan and Liu Jinian had rehearsal for the school anniversary program. I didn't wait for him. I went straight back home. Li Xia had already arrived. As soon as I returned, she and Dabai came over together to welcome me. Seeing her appear before my eyes, I broke into a smile. Perhaps because of the fate from my past life. Therefore, now I always feel that every single time I meet him is so precious and hard to come by. Seeing the smile on my face, Li Xia was slightly stunned for a moment. She had already grown accustomed to my willful and aloof appearance. Yet my overflowing enthusiasm recently always made her a bit shy and not daring to look straight into my eyes. I looked at her and said with a smile, "You came so early today. Then let's head straight to the study room." I led Li Xia upstairs. During class today, I happened to find that there were many parts I couldn't understand. I thought I could ask you for some guidance. The two of them sat down inside the study room. Li Xia sat down beside me and brought out 2 test papers, wanting to first understand my current proficiency level. I earnestly finished doing the test papers and then handed them over to her. Li Xia silently held the test papers and quietly looked over them for a moment. I felt somewhat ashamed and apologetic. I really am very stupid. It's not your problem. It's just that the study method isn't quite appropriate. I'll help you review the basics first, is that all right? I nodded in agreement. Li Xia kept her head lowered the entire time while teaching, without even looking at me, explaining things very earnestly. Yet her problem-solving train of thought to me was unexpectedly incomparably simple and easy to understand. Many things I originally couldn't figure out ended up being easily understood just like that from her explanation. Li Xia lectured for quite a while and felt somewhat thirsty. The moment she just lifted her head up, she perceived that I was gazing intently at her. She swallowed her saliva somewhat uncomfortably and then turned her line of sight toward the questions. "What's wrong? Is there any problem? I just feel that you're quite patient with me. However, how come you're so cold and aloof on your phone? From start to finish, you only replied with 2 characters to me. Is it because of the matter between me and Liu Ruyan that you have an issue with me?" "No, my family members came over yesterday, so I was relatively busy and wasn't able to reply to your message in a timely manner either. By the time I saw it, it was already morning. If you have any matters that require help, you can dial my phone at any time." Right as the two of them were busy, my phone suddenly rang out. I hurriedly answered the phone call. The sound of Liu Ruyan's voice came from the other end of the line. "Chen Fan, what is the meaning of this? What's wrong with me again?" Hearing that accusing tone of his, I completely didn't understand where on earth I had provoked him. "You actually had them throw away all of my things." I couldn't help glancing over at Li Xia, without keeping it a secret from her, and directly addressed Liu Ruyan. "I already told you yesterday, you're fired. Since that's the case, you no longer have any reason to stay in my house. Isn't that right? I'm still in the middle of class. Don't come here and bother me." After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. Liu Ruyan stood in front of the doorway, watching his luggage being thrown out in one messy heap, and found it hard to believe this was something I could do. Was I really going to kick him out? I hung up the phone and said to Li Xia, "Let's continue." Then Li Xia responded with an acknowledgement. Before long, the study room door was suddenly pushed open. Liu Ruyan stood at the doorway. His complexion turned extremely gloomy due to anger, with his gaze landing heavily on me and Li Xia. His eyes revealed a trace of resentment. Seeing him appear right here, I stood up and asked, "What did you come for? Didn't you dislike me? Didn't you look down on me? Now you've started clinging and pestering instead." Liu Ruyan stepped forward. In a questioning tone, "Chen Fan, you insulting me like this. Do you think this is very funny?" Li Xia stood up right along with us and instinctively stood in front of me to protect me. "Insulting you?" Seeing Liu Ruyan so furious, I retorted, "Did you get something wrong? How did I insult you? Liu Ruyan, the one truly being insulted is me, right? Every single expense of your living is taken care of by me. You and Lu Jinian stick together every day, while I follow behind you guys like a servant. I serve you guys, yet I still have to endure your coldness. Aren't these called insults? Now I'm simply taking back everything given to him. In his eyes, this instead turned into an insult toward him. Liu Ruyan slightly knitted his lips and looked at me. Don't think that just because you found someone to come over, you can coerce me into doing anything with you. It is impossible for me to like you, nor is it possible for me to be together with you. After saying that, he turned around and left, resulting in even crashing into the door. I opened the window to witness him going downstairs afterwards, picking up his luggage, and then leaving without any hesitation. Leaving quite decisively indeed. Liu Ruyan in front of me had always been the type who was extremely proud. Although his family was poor, he still possessed an unyielding backbone. No matter how well I treated him, he absolutely would not yield to the temptation of money. I was the one who fancied this point of his in the past. Yet looking back now, I truly feel it's laughable. Li Xia saw me standing in front of the window and reminded me, Chen Fan, sorry. Let's continue, or should I head back first? I see that you're in a rather bad mood. No way, my mood is pretty good. I was just thinking of my past life, thinking of some foolish things I had done before. It's not really because I'm feeling sad for Liu Ruyan. Seeing Liu Ruyan's appearance, I'm actually quite happy in my heart, because at the very least, I don't need to feel anxious about my own future anymore. Staying away from Liu Ruyan, I won't catch any illness in this lifetime anymore, and won't fall into that kind of end result again, right? Li Xia said, I'll head back first. Saying that she was about to walk out the door, I took a step forward and grabbed hold of her hand. Li Xia was startled for a moment, and turned her head around to stare at me. What is it? I didn't even know what I was doing. But I'm not stupid. I can tell that she's a bit unhappy. Whenever Liu Ruyan arrived on the scene and said those words, Li Xia would subconsciously want to pull apart a distance between us. Previously, my relationship with Liu Ruyan was extremely intimate, and I never concealed my liking for Liu Ruyan. I'm afraid everyone, even Li Xia, thought so. They all felt that I liked Liu Ruyan in my heart. Of course, I really had liked him once upon a time. If it weren't for such a tragic end in my past life, I'm afraid I would never have been able to awaken. Seeing Li Xia looking at herself, I loosened my grip. Do you have time on Saturday? I want to go eat at the Imperial Palace Hotel. Do you want to go together? The dishes at the Imperial Palace Hotel are exceptionally delicious. Having been a starved ghost in my past life, right now I just want to enjoy myself properly. If it were the past, I would definitely have brought Liu Ruyan along, but now I'd rather call Li Xia along instead. Anyway, she is the arranged marriage partner arranged by my father. As long as I don't back out, after graduation, there's a high probability I'll be marrying Li Xia. I used to think Dad didn't respect me. Looking back at it now, she doesn't look any worse than Liu Ruyan, coupled with the fact that she is both pretty and possesses excellent academic records. The one taking advantage when she fancies me seems to be me after all, right? Aren't you going with him? The person he mentioned was Liu Ruyan. I retorted, asking, so, do you really hope that I'll be together with him? Do you want me to avoid you just like before? Of course not. Then it's settled like this. See you on Saturday afternoon. When I arrived, it was a bit late. Upon entering, I spotted quite a few old friends at the doorway. Every single one of them dressed up looking all bright and glamorous. Seeing me appear, Wang Yan, who was Lu Jinian's good friend, saw me and couldn't hold back a laugh. Chen Fan, you actually still have the nerve to show up here. Why wouldn't I be able to come? The owner of the Imperial Palace Hotel is very good friends with my dad. I am a super VIP here and can come whenever I want. I actually want to know why I wouldn't be able to come. Wang Yan sneered these past 2 days at school. School bell. Liu hasn't paid any attention to you at all. Now that it's her birthday, you still have the nerve to brazenly show up here. Liu Ruyan's birthday, huh? Right, today is her birthday. I've been focusing entirely on classes recently and didn't even think about this matter. If it weren't for them reminding me, I almost would have forgotten. I had previously given a heads up to the people at the Imperial Palace Hotel. This year is Liu Ruyan's 18th birthday, the year of her 18th birthday. I threw a grand and extravagant celebration for her at the Imperial Palace Hotel, with matchless splendor, yet it was also on this exact day that I obtained the truth. Chen Fan, can you please not always meddle in my business? Later on, I got angry and ignored her. Ultimately, we had a cold war lasting a full 2 days, yet I still couldn't help going over to apologize to her first. In order to make her marry me, I even went so far as to hand over the company that my father left behind to me, doing such a foolish thing. At this moment, gazing at the bustling scene before my eyes, I didn't feel like paying attention to them. Everything of Liu Ruyan's at the hotel was arranged by me, and naturally the consumption was also my responsibility. Now that I've snapped back to my senses, I no longer pay any attention to her, yet she actually still dares to bring them here to consume. I'm actually curious how she's going to wrap this up later. I ignored the classmates' mocking taunts and walked straight into the elevator. My and Lishia's spot had already been booked, and I wonder if she has arrived yet. Right as I stepped out of the elevator, I bumped into Liu Ruyan chatting animatedly with Lu Jinian. She noticed my arrival at a single glance. Liu Ruyan's gaze instantly locked onto me. I knew all along you would show up. I thought you really wouldn't make it. Liu Ruyan walked over toward me and with a hint of smugness teased me saying, "Didn't you say you wouldn't come? Don't think that just because you came, I'll easily forgive you for what you did before. Chenfan, I'm still mad. She is like this every single time, always using her anger to force me into a compromise." I looked over toward her, with the corners of my mouth lifting slightly. "Is something wrong? Aren't you here to attend my birthday? Why should I celebrate your birthday? Didn't you fail to invite me as well? With so many classmates celebrating your birthday, you shouldn't be missing one more like me, right?" "Chenfan, what do you mean by that?" Liu Ruyan looked at me with some irritation. Even now, I was still being stubborn, unwilling to even let him touch me on my birthday. Must I insist on angering him for it to count? Right at this moment, the restaurant manager walked over toward me and addressed me, "Young Master Chen, has Li Xia arrived yet?" The manager nodded. "She has already arrived. Please lead the way for me." Thanks manager was about to take me to find Li Xia, when Liu Ruyan followed right behind me. "Chen Fan, have you acted enough yet? You're actually still going to look for Li Xia. Is it because her temper is just too good?" I glanced at her. "The one acting up was your dad. You didn't want me pestering you and felt I was super annoying. I'm not pestering you anymore right now. What is this about? Your friends are still waiting for you," I said while casting a glance at Lu Jinian, who wanted to follow along, but seemed to feel it wasn't quite appropriate. Lu Jinian had also never seen Liu Ruyan act so proactive toward me. Of course, I knew what Liu Ruyan was being so proactive for. She wasn't reluctant to part with me. She was reluctant to part with the cash in my pockets. In the past, she clearly didn't like me, yet she peaceably and comfortably enjoyed everything I provided, verbally refusing to accept my things, while accepting them quite happily. Now that I'm ignoring her, she's panicking instead. After all, with a birthday banquet foreshadowed for so long, how could it possibly end in a sloppy mess? If it's because of my relationship with Lu Jinian, I can stay a bit further away from him. With that said, can you stop making a scene now? Breaking all expectations, he actually chose to take a step back, which is enough to show just how reluctant he is to part with his birthday banquet. Indeed, if he didn't care about saving face, he wouldn't maintain the persona of a wealthy socialite at school, nor would he invite so many people to attend his birthday banquet. Turns out he was afraid of losing face too. Having seen Liu Ruyan's aloof and high and mighty appearance before, yet now seeing him compromise for a birthday party, I think this whole thing is quite interesting. I nodded in agreement as well. "I know you're celebrating your birthday today, and it wouldn't be good to ruin everyone's spirits either." "Right." After saying that, I turned my head to look at the manager. "I previously made a reservation for the Emerald Hall in your restaurant under the name Liu Ruyan." The manager flipped through the records and said, "Yes, young Master Chen, since today is student Liu's birthday, then let him use this hall." I finished speaking and looked toward Liu Ruyan. "Will this do?" Seeing that I relented, Liu Ruyan let out a sigh of relief as well. "Everything you're doing is truly just to make me break up with Lu Jinian. You simply can't stand seeing us together. You're overthinking it. I don't care at all who you're with, Liu Ruyan. Once some time passes, you'll understand. Without me, Chen Fan, you are nothing at all." The manager stood quietly off to the side. Hearing me say such words caused Liu Ruyan to lose face completely. "I couldn't be bothered to deal with you." He resolutely turned around and left. The manager glanced over at me. "Shall I have people get the Emerald Hall ready over there?" I nodded in response, but remembered to make sure he pays the bill for all expenses before leaving. No one is allowed to leave until the bill is settled. "Understood, young Master Chen." Having arranged everything, I went to find Li Xia. Liu Ruyan returned to Lu Jinian's side, and seeing his gloomy face, Lu Jinian asked, "What's wrong? What were you guys talking about?" "Nothing special." He cast a sideways glance at the gentle and attentive Lu Jinian before him. "After today's birthday banquet concludes, he will never have the slightest relation with me again, and will definitely never give me a good look ever again." When I walked inside, she was attentively flipping through the menu. Suddenly, she heard a sound, and then she raised her head to lock eyes with me. I broke into a smile. "Have you been waiting long?" "No, I just got here too." Li Xia was gazing intently at me. I naturally went and sat right down beside her. Li Xia hadn't guessed I would sit so close to her, and felt somewhat unaccustomed to it. There were plenty of seats available, and I clearly could have sat somewhere else. At the time, I didn't notice her awkwardness, and asked, "Have you ordered your food yet?" "Not yet, I'm looking right now." "Let me see." I leaned in close, grabbed her hand, and started looking at the menu. Li Xia could no longer look at the menu anymore. Constantly keeping her focus on me, I want to eat something with heavy flavors. Doing this seemed to remind myself that I was still alive. Those painful days of suffering from hunger and cold, where sleep was also poor, were truly a heavy torment to us. Even though I've been reborn now, sometimes I still dream that I've returned to my past life. It's too spicy? I used my hand to fan myself. I gently picked up the watermelon juice and took a sip. Li Xia asked me, "Do you like eating spicy food?" "It's alright, I quite like it. What about you?" "I like it too," she replied with full cooperation and picked up her chopsticks to pick up some dishes. Right inside our private dining room, waitstaff were standing by on standby. Before long, the boss of Imperial Palace walked in. His name was Uncle Zhou. Seeing him, I politely said Uncle Zhou. Uncle Zhou looked over at me and with a smile at the corner of his mouth recalled, "Chen Fan is here too, huh?" Hearing him say that, I immediately understood he wasn't here to look for me, and sure enough, Uncle Zhou walked toward Li Xia off to the side. He politely addressed her, "Miss Li, welcome to dine at our hotel. If there is any hospitality that falls short, you can let me know." Because he walked closely with my father, did he know Li Xia's identity? Ordinary people fundamentally didn't know Li Xia's true background. Nor did they know that the little young heiress of the Beijing Li family was hidden right here in Yunqing. Li Xia responded with an acknowledgement and then continued eating her meal. She was very cold and aloof. I originally thought she was an enthusiastic person, and seeing her this time around, I discovered that Li Xia didn't even like talking to other people at all. Zhou Ye stood off to the side for a while and personally poured water for her, yet she still didn't speak. That feeling of keeping strangers at a distance almost permeated throughout the entire private room. In the end, Zhou Ye had no choice but to say regretfully, "Then I will take my leave first. Please enjoy your meal slowly." "Wait a moment, Uncle Zhou," I called out and stopped him. Hearing this voice, Zhou Ye halted his footsteps and subsequently turned back around. "Does young Master Chen have any other instructions?" He smiled very warmly when he smiled, looking like a very warm person indeed, which was why I always held a favorable impression of him. Except that if I remembered correctly, in my past life, the Imperial Palace Hotel, on the third day of Liu Ruyan's birthday banquet, suddenly suffered a fire disaster. The reason was that the kitchen's fire safety measures were not up to par. After putting out the fire, it was discovered that his fire extinguisher completely could not be used. That fire disaster even caused casualties. Precisely because of this, the Imperial Palace Hotel was originally the top hotel in Yunqing, yet never recovered after that incident. I heard Uncle Zhou fell ill from anger because of this matter. I gazed toward Zhou Ye and asked, "Is there any problem with your hotel's fire safety?" Seeing me suddenly bring this up, Zhou Ye looked at me with some surprise at this moment. Why is young Master Chen suddenly concerned about this? I just feel that it might be better to have someone thoroughly check it out, especially that kitchen area. Rest assured, our hotel's fire safety is extremely flawless and absolutely will not have any problems appear. We will be responsible for our guests. I quietly gazed at him. "Uncle Zhou, why don't you go check it out yourself?" Seeing me insist so strongly, a trace of displeasure also leaked onto Zhou Ye's face as he stared at me and looked, "What do these words of yours mean?" "Young Master Chen, could it be that you don't believe what I said? Your father and I are close friends. What kind of character I have, your father is very clear about it. I do business with a very clear conscience. Acting like this is doubting my character. I was around the same age as his son. In his eyes, I was merely a child. What did I know about these things?" Li Xia spoke up and said, since he said it like this, it wouldn't hurt to go take a look. When Zhou Ye walked inside earlier, Li Xia hadn't spoken a single word to him since. No matter what he asked, she always briefly responded with 1 or 2 sentences. Yet she said it like this at this moment, and Zhu Yo gave her plenty of face. "All right, I'll go right now." Li Xia was very composed, coupled with the fact that her identity was laid right there, although her age was actually practically the same as mine. Yet the words she spoke seemed to make people trust them a bit more. When Zhou Ye left, I couldn't help looking toward Li Xia in surprise. "Why did you help me?" I merely brought up this request because I truly knew a lot, yet from Li Xia's perspective, she should have been completely clueless about these things. Hearing my words, Li Xia said, "Since you brought it up, helping you, isn't that only natural? Weren't you afraid that I was just talking nonsense? What would even be wrong with that?" Li Xia stated even if it were just a joke, it wouldn't amount to any major problem. It's just making him run an errand. She spoke of these matters looking quite calm indeed, yet I gazed intently at her. Yet an incomparable warmth welled up in my heart. Feeling as if it were the sensation of being deeply trusted by someone, I recalled that moment when I was diagnosed with AIDS. No one was willing to believe that I was a victim. They all said it was me fooling around outside. If I really had been fooling around, I would have just accepted my fate as everyone pointed fingers at me. They were filled with disgust toward me. And even I myself started to hate myself, never expecting that it was Liu Ruyan who intentionally had someone give me a syringe needle that had been used by an AIDS patient. He wanted to use this as an excuse not to marry me. Only the person who framed you knows just how unjustly wronged you are. Licia and I ate for a very long time and didn't leave even after finishing. I had also brought my homework along and conveniently wrote my homework there. Licia could also conveniently help explain problems to me. The two of us stayed all the way until evening. Liu Ruyan's birthday banquet concluded, and when they were preparing to leave, everyone was made to stay behind. Because Liu Ruyan hadn't paid the bill, Liu Ruyan dialed a phone call to me. The first time I didn't answer, Li Xia sat off to the side watching me not answer. I knew who called, and I didn't care either. Until Liu Ruyan made 2 more phone calls did I answer. Chen Fan, what do you mean by this? On the other end of the phone call, Liu Ruyan's voice was permeated with overflowing fury. The more furious he was, the more delightful my mood became. Although I said I didn't want to associate with him anymore, the grudges of the past life still had to be avenged. Otherwise, I simply couldn't swallow that breath of anger down. I raised the corners of my mouth and said, School Bell Liu. What is going on here? Flying into such a big temper? Come over here and pay the bill. Liu Ruyan lowered his voice. Don't you go causing trouble? Originally, he thought that once the birthday banquet ended and he left, he wouldn't have any more dealings with me. But he never expected I would actually be waiting for him right here. Now he has no money to pay the bill, and everyone has been kept behind. Everyone is waiting on him. I said, how strange. It's your birthday and I didn't even go. So why are you still making me pay the bill? Why don't you have your classmates split the bill with you? Everyone chip in together and put the money down. Anyway, they're all pretty good to you. Your relationship with them is also quite decent, and you often treat them to meals as well. In the past, every single month, I would give Liu Ruyan over 100,000 in pocket money, and Liu Ruyan would take it completely justified, and with full assurance. He believed the tutoring money he earned was all what he deserved. He was also very generous, from time to time treating everyone to meals together. Everyone felt Liu Ruyan was a big shot, and were willing to walk close to him. Yet what he was using was actually my money. Chen Fan, do you really have to be like this? Just what do you want me to do? To come over and pay the bill? Begging someone requires at least having the attitude of begging someone, right? Don't you think so? Across the phone line, I heard Liu Ruyan exhale a breath with extreme reluctance and grievance. I wasn't unconditionally simping for him like before. Of course he was very angry. I raised the corners of my mouth, unwilling, Then forget it, I'm hanging up. Please. Liu Ruyan gripped his phone tightly and bit down hard on his teeth. They were blocked by the hotel staff right now, and simply couldn't leave. I hung up the phone and stood up, then said to Li Xia, I'll step out for a moment, walking all the way to the Emerald Hall. At this moment, the classmates attending the birthday banquet were all inside. They were still lingering in this place, everyone staring intently at Liu Ruyan in distress. The atmosphere instantly turned extremely awkward. They couldn't leave even if they wanted to, and Liu Ruyan could only helplessly stay right here to greet everyone's gazes. Right when I appeared, the manager walked over and politely addressed me as young Master Chen. I looked across this circle of people, each and every one of them dressed up looking truly as gorgeous as flowers. Yet all of them had that looking down on me appearance earlier this afternoon. This time, everyone surprisingly didn't have that arrogant attitude. After all, there is nothing more humiliating than being trapped here and unable to pull out money to pay. What is going on with everyone here? Isn't this School Bell Liu's birthday party? You guys don't look very happy. I deliberately sized up Liu Ruyan. His expression was more gloomy than anyone else's. Liu Jinian stood off to the side instead, and who knows what kind of situation this even was. This Miss Liu didn't pay the bill. I simply had them pay the bill. Is that so? What a big deal? No need to make a fuss like this. They are all my classmates. Tonight's bill, I'll pay for it. I finished speaking and handed my own card out. The manager took the card and went to swipe it. The expressions of the other people looking toward me grew complicated. Liu Ruyan was celebrating her birthday, and she actually let me come over to foot the bill? What on earth is going on here? Can't he make the payment himself? Liu Ruyan felt her face heating up all over. She gazed toward me. No wonder I came over so easily. Turns out my purpose was to humiliate him, to let everyone know that he is a poor ghost, who has to rely on me to give money. Clearly, the matter of taking money to pay the bill, I could have handled low-profiledly by myself. Yet now it was made into such a grandiose spectacle, and I even had to swipe my card right in front of everyone. This man is truly insane. Before long, the manager finished swiping the credit card, and then he handed the card and the bill to me, young Master Chen. The swipe is done, and this is the bill. I checked the bill against the total and deliberately blurted out the number above 808 Yi in. Liu Ruyan, happy birthday to you. This year for your birthday, I went ahead and bought this bill for you, but there won't be a next time. After finishing my words, I cast a glance sideways at Lu Jinian, who was standing right beside me. His face had already started to take on an ashen grayish hue. What kind of situation is this? Yu Ruyan's money was all provided by Chen Fan. Isn't she a wealthy socialite? The scene unfolding before everyone's eyes was truly far too face-slapping. Wang Yan stood out and addressed me, Chen Fan. What kind of joke are you playing? Liu Ruyan's money becomes yours just because it's kept with you. You're merely the child of their family's servant, helping to watch over it for a bit. Just what on earth are you feeling so smug about? Does your family's money get kept by servants for safekeeping? I looked toward Wang Yan and let out a soft chuckle. Since you say I'm the son of Liu Ruyan's family's servant, then I'll tell you right now. No, her father is my family's driver. That day at the school entrance when he dropped me off and walked away with Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian, he has already been fired by now. If you guys don't believe it, you might as well go ask Liu Ruyan. Having said that, I looked toward Liu Ruyan school bell Liu. What do you say? He glared at me, his eyes filled entirely with unwillingness and resentment. Having lived this long, no matter how poor he was, he had never suffered this kind of humiliation before. Now everyone was watching his joke unfold, yet precisely because of this, he couldn't say anything this time around. After all, there was a high likelihood I might take the money back, and then leave him stranded right here again. He didn't pay any attention to me, and turned around to walk out. Lu Jinian witnessed all of this, and immediately followed along outside as well. The scene before their eyes was truly hard to endure, yet he couldn't not leave either. However, he completely hadn't anticipated that she was actually a driver's daughter. Then, why on earth did she pretend to be a wealthy socialite before, once both of them had departed? I cast a sideways glance at everyone present. There's nothing else going on, so you guys can all disperse now. Pay extra attention on the way home. Oh, the time isn't early anymore either. The crowd successively left the Emerald Hall, and watching them off as they departed. I finally walked out from the Emerald Hall. The manager accompanied me toward the main entrance, and escorted me all the way to the elevator doorway. At this moment, Licia had also just arrived over, and the two of them stepped into the elevator together. This time, I didn't speak either, remaining extremely quiet. Although just now in front of everyone, my identity was considered clarified. Yet in my heart, I didn't feel very happy at all. Compared to the bitterness I've experienced over these years, just giving Liu Ruyan this little bit of punishment truly cannot dissolve the resentment within my heart. Seeing that I kept silent the entire time, Li Xia didn't disturb me either as the two of them arrived downstairs, only to see Uncle Zhou upon spotting me, walk straight over toward me immediately. Chen Fan. This time his target was no longer Li Xia, but rather me, Uncle Zhou. Zhou Ye grasped my hand. Xiao Fan. Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, our hotel would have had a massive disaster. I just went to personally inspect it, and only then discovered that many issues were all because my cousin handled things poorly. I've already chased him back home. It was only right. Chu Ye curiously asked, how did you know that our hotel's fire safety had issues? This question caught me off guard instead. I had no choice but to casually find an excuse to cope with it. I dreamed about it last night, hearing my words. Zhou Ye couldn't help laughing out loud. Alright, I won't ask anymore either, right? I had some gifts prepared for the two of you. Saying that, he had the assistant beside him bring the gifts over. 2 small gifts packed inside bags. Thank you. If you have any use for me in the future, just come find me. This kindness he naturally engraved in his heart. Zhou Ye escorted us out the door, and the Li family's car had already arrived. I sat inside the car gazing out the window. At this hour, there weren't many pedestrians left on the street, though there were still quite a few cars, causing a bit of a traffic jam. I remember back when Li Xia and I were together, we would talk a lot. Yet this time it was exceptionally quiet. Li Xia didn't bother me either. She just pondered how I could possibly have anticipated that the Imperial Palace Hotel's fire safety had problems. Reasoning told her I shouldn't have known more about their hotel's matters than Zhou Ye. As for the matter regarding the Emerald Hall, she had heard about it too. Today was precisely Liu Ruyan's birthday, and I didn't go accompany him at all, instead staying together with her the whole time. Even leaving that aside, in the end I actually made Liu Ruyan look so awkward. I really wanted to completely cut ties with Liu Ruyan. Then the expression of disappointment I was showing right now, what was it even because of? In reality, I only felt sorrowful for a brief moment before stopping feeling sad entirely. Because I knew I had been reborn now, and everything still had the possibility of starting over. As long as I didn't make mistakes like in my past life, many things were still in time to be fixed. Therefore, I quickly began to feel drowsy. Attending school seriously every single day recently truly made people feel exceptionally tired. I had a feeling of never getting enough sleep, and had already grown sleepy by this point. Before long, I leaned over, and fell asleep resting against Li Xia. Li Xia instantly didn't dare to move a single inch. By the time we reached the Chen residence, Li Xia's arm was already somewhat sore, yet she didn't even dare to change her posture for fear of waking me up, and could only maintain this state the entire time. Miss, we have arrived. Li Xia glanced at the outside, then her gaze fell upon my fair face, hesitating whether or not to wake me up. At this moment, the driver had already gotten out of the car first, and was waiting outside. Yet Li Xia still hadn't woken me up this whole time. I sensed that the car had stopped, and waking up, I cast a sideways glance out the window. When I realized I had already returned home, only then did I raise my gaze to look toward Li Xia, to find her sitting quietly right there, not even daring to look straight into my eyes. I gently rubbed my somewhat aching neck, straightening my body up. We've arrived. Li Xia nodded. Then why didn't you wake me up? Seeing you sleeping so soundly, when she spoke, there was always an expressionless look on her face. I looked at her and noticed her ears were flushed red. Yet I never expected he could be this pure and innocent. Hearing me call out her name, Li Xia turned her gaze toward me. I asked her, "Are you feeling scared of me?" "No, but why don't you like looking at me? Whenever you're with me, you seem to look like you hate me." Li Xia let out a light cough. "I'm just not used to being this close to others. You're the first one." Hearing her words, I couldn't help laughing out loud. "Then why didn't you make me stay further away from you?" Hearing my words, Li Xia, as if trying to prove that she wasn't being led around by the nose by me, opened her mouth and asked, "Why did you and Liu Ruyan break up? Didn't you like him a lot?" At the mention of this topic, I froze for a moment, gazing at the empty street ahead. I just realized I don't like him anymore. It's nothing, I'm heading back. I had just stepped out of the car, when at this moment, the gates of the Chen residence slowly swung open, and Dad Qin Qingming walked over to the doorway. The moment I saw the old man, my eyes instantly lit up. "Dad, you're finally back." Chen Qingming was relatively busy with work, so I was almost always home by myself. There were quite a few servants at home, yet not many could keep me in check. Even leaving that aside, even my dad didn't manage me much because he spoiled me rotten, always feeling that as long as I was happy, it was enough. Having Dad pamper me was my most carefree period of days. Only in my past life, Father advised me not to keep my eyes fixed on Liu Ruyan all the time, and I couldn't listen to it. Seeing Father return once again this time around, initially his expression was still very solemn, wanting to reclaim a bit of a father's majesty in front of his son. Who would have known I would suddenly pull this stunt and even cry? Chen Qingming instantly panicked and gently patted my shoulder. "What's wrong, son? Who bullied you?" Could it be that stinky girl, Liu Ruyan? I heard you got their whole family fired." I hugged my dad. "Nothing, I just missed you." "You silly boy. You usually find me annoying when I call you a couple extra times." Right, is that the Li family's car? Li Xia had already gotten down from the vehicle. My eye sockets were all red, and getting seen like this felt a bit embarrassing. It was Li Xia who sent me back. "We went out to eat dinner tonight." Chen Jingming glanced over at me, seeming somewhat surprised. Previously, when discussing the engagement matter with him, I was extremely resistant, even stating that it was forever impossible for me to have any relation with Li Xia. Now the two of them actually went out to hang out together. Although he didn't know what kind of stimulus his son had received, Chen Qingming still addressed Li Xia, "Come inside and sit for a while." "Hello, Uncle Chen." "I won't go in. I'll head back first today." She cast a sideways glance at me, then turned around and got into the car. The Li family's car drove straight away, and I followed my father back inside the house. Could it be that Li Xia bullied you? Seeing my red eyes and grievance-filled appearance, I shook my head in denial. "No, she treats me pretty well." I sat on the sofa watching my father continue to look at me. Father was still quite young indeed. Of course he wasn't old when he passed away later on either. It was just that I always remembered that when Father passed away, he seemed to have already grown very old. Chen Qingming repeatedly asked for half a day, confirming that I wasn't bullied by Liu Ruyan, before finally setting his mind at ease. Sunday morning, just after waking up, I heard Aunt Zhou inform me that Liu Ruyan had arrived. The scene from last night surfaced in my mind. He and I could already be considered to have completely fallen out. Liu Ruyan should also understand that I won't spoil him anymore from now on. Never expected he actually came over anyway. I walked downstairs and discovered that the one who came wasn't just Liu Ruyan, but also her father. Uncle Liu sat on the sofa and addressed Chen Qingming, President Chen's. It was entirely our Liu Ruyan being ignorant and unruly. I have already scolded him. I've already chewed him out. He will never bully Chen Fan ever again. Chen Qingming furrowed his brow. Is my son's name something you can just call out like that either? He had long since found the Qin family's servants an eyesore. If it weren't for fear that his son would cut ties with him, he wouldn't have accommodated them at all. Uncle Liu realized he had said something he shouldn't have. and hastily apologized young master. It was young master seeing me come down from upstairs. He hastily shifted his gaze away from me, young master. Good morning, I specially brought Liu Ruyan over today to come ask for your forgiveness. I turned my head to look toward Liu Ruyan and saw him sitting right there, his expression gloomy and maintaining total silence. Ask for forgiveness. I certainly didn't think Liu Ruyan was here to ask for forgiveness because his entire face was plastered with unwillingness. Clearly, he was still holding a grudge over last night's matter. How could he possibly ask for forgiveness from me? What kind of nonsense is Uncle Liu saying? Liu Ruyan didn't do anything to offend me at all, nor does he need to ask for my forgiveness. Yet I heard you got them fired. Uncle Liu, when he was fired, he himself wasn't even that anxious. After all, his monthly salary wasn't much either, leaving early and returning late every single day. Yet Liu Ruyan was different. He only needed to help me tutor a bit, and he could obtain a massive amount of money. Who knows, maybe the entire Chen family would belong to him in the future. Right now, we have already had a massive falling out. How could Uncle Liu possibly agree to let him tutor me? My grades have been getting worse and worse these past few years. And furthermore, Liu Ruyan also felt that he wasn't competent enough for this job, being way too stupid. He couldn't teach me properly, so I had no choice but to cater to his wishes, and dismissed him from the job. In reality, there are no conflicts between us whatsoever, nor did we do anything unpleasant. Apologizing won't be necessary at all. Chen Qingming cast a sideways glance at me. Seeing that, when I said these things, my expression appeared extremely composed. I used to insist on sticking with Liu Ruyan, and having Liu Ruyan tutor me, he had no choice but to agree to me. Now I've actually gone and dismissed Liu Ruyan. Chen Qingming was somewhat surprised and also somewhat touched. His son has truly grown up now. I have to go to class, and I also need to eat my meal. Subsequently, Chen Qingming had people send that pair of father and son out. After finishing my meal, I walked out of the house, and the driver was waiting in the courtyard. I got into the car. As the vehicle pulled out from the Chen residence, I saw Liu Ruyan still standing at the doorway, with his father also there. Different from the gentle appearance inside the house just now, Uncle Liu raised his hand and directly dealt him a slap across the face. I was well aware of Liu Ruyan's family background. His mother was like a runaway mother, who couldn't take it anymore and dumped Liu Ruyan to run off. He had been living following his father all these years, with his schooling money all borrowed from relatives. Later, as he grew a bit older, he started figuring things out on his own. Under these kinds of circumstances, he was still able to manage his studies so well, always taking the #1 spot in the school, which was why I exceptionally cherished him, and also exceptionally cared for him, giving him the absolute best of everything, simply wanting to let him live a little better. It's a pity that when I was feeling heartache for him, he never once felt any heartache for me, treating me purely as an ATM machine. The person in his heart definitely wasn't myself. I withdrew my gaze and arrived straight at school. Due to the events that transpired yesterday, everyone's attitude toward me seemed to have grown much gentler. Classmates began actively coming over to chat with me. Chen Fan, is your family really that wealthy? Come to think of it, all of Liu Ruyan's money was given by you. All along, we actually all thought she was a wealthy socialite. Didn't you guys already know by now? We just feel it's really strange. Young master, why don't you take a look at me? I guarantee I'll be much more obedient than Liu Ruyan. I gazed at the female student saying these words before me, hearing what she had to say. I couldn't help bursting into laughter. Right at this moment, Liu Ruyan appeared. Just because I wasn't willing, you treat me like this. Chen Fan, even if you use this kind of method, Liu Ruyan still won't like you. An opulent young master with terrible grades like you, who only relies on having a bit of family wealth, and expects everyone to revolve around you, aren't even worth a single finger of Lu Jinian. Hearing Liu Ruyan bring that up, everyone suddenly remembered my dead last academic rankings. Not only was I Liu Ruyan's ultimate simp, I was also a total dummy. Before I could even speak, Liu Ruyan brought up last night's birthday gathering. You were the one who made me invite everyone to go. I didn't want to go at all. Yet in the end, you deliberately made our classmates look like fools. Do you feel that just because you have money, you can play with other people's self-esteem? And don't go trying to flip right and wrong either, claiming that you were the one supporting me. All that money was simply payment for me tutoring you. From now on, I won't want your money anymore. But don't expect me to help you out again either. After Liu Ruyan finished speaking these words, she directly swapped seats with someone else, looking like she completely wanted nothing to do with me. She started projecting her aloof study god persona once again. She has always been like this, and I certainly haven't forgotten the scene of her begging me for help last night. Initially seeing her father beat her up, I even felt she was slightly pitiful. Now looking at it, that beating was simply too well deserved. I didn't cut her any slack either. Tutoring Liu Ruyan? You really have the nerve to call that tutoring? Ever since you started tutoring me, aside from spending my money, Did you ever do a single proper thing? My dead last rankings in the entire class every single month were precisely the result of your tutoring. Liu Ruyan said with a poker face, I've already told you that you were simply too stupid. What does that have to do with me? Chen Fan, since you're so rich, why don't you use your money to go buy a new brain instead? The moment Liu Ruyan opened her mouth, everyone else couldn't help laughing out loud. I glared right at her. That righteous expression of hers acting all high and mighty. Are you sure I'm the stupid one? And not that your teaching methods were problematic. Liu Ruyan thought of Li Xia, knowing I had already let Li Xia tutor me instead. She let out a light snort. Well then, since that's the case, let's do this. During the next monthly exam, let me take a look at your grades. You don't even need to improve by much. As long as your school ranking can jump by 100 spots, I'll be willing to admit my methods had problems. She actually wanted to see if Li Xia could genuinely teach me anything. Her brain was completely useless anyway. Fine by me, I gazed at her. She only asked me to climb 100 spots, and didn't even mention a huge margin, which was enough to show just how much she looked down on me. Seeing that I agreed, Liu Ruyan addressed the crowd. You guys heard it too. He agreed to this himself. As long as his ranking jumps by 100 spots on the next monthly exam, Liu Ruyan will punish herself by running 10 kilometers. Whoa! Everyone successively cast their gazes toward Liu Ruyan, all wearing excited expressions. Wang Yan looked toward me. Since the school bell is going to run 10 kilometers, why don't you also run 10 kilometers if you lose? Though Chen Fan, can you even finish running that? If you're too chicken to do it, then honestly just admit defeat right now. Sure, jumping 100 spots isn't that difficult either, especially since I've been taking lessons with Li Xia these past few days, and feel that the problem-solving logic she teaches is super easy to grasp. I can clearly sense my own noticeable progress, so I agreed right on the spot. This way I can also push myself a little harder. After all, people only gain motivation when they have a goal. Seeing me act so hardcore and unflinching, Liu Ruyan couldn't hold back a chuckle at the utter fool, and then sat back down. She genuinely never expected I would actually agree to it. When she used to explain problems to me, I would constantly draw a complete blank on everything. She was already crystal clear about my pathetic skill level. She was already starting to look forward to seeing me running those 10 kilometers. They had just laid down their wager, while Lu Jinian was currently standing right at the doorway, having heard every single word Liu Ruyan just said. Even though he had been in a depressed mood the entire night, by this moment he had already figured things out. Not only were Liu Ruyan's grades outstanding, she was also extremely good looking, even if her family background wasn't great. Since she was so hardworking and motivated, wasn't she 100 times better than a dummy like Chen Fan? In the future, purely relying on his own efforts, he would definitely make something of himself. Thinking up to this point, he walked right over and addressed Liu Ruyan, although your dad is just a driver, at least that's earning a living through your own two hands. And your grades have always been the absolute best. With a poor family background like yours, it must have been extremely tough getting to where you are today, right? I will always steadfastly support you. With Lu Jinian making this kind of declaration, all the classmates who had harbored doubts about Liu Ruyan instantly became deeply moved. Looking back at Liu Ruyan, she had always been a top student. Everyone liked her, not just because her family was wealthy, but because she excelled both in character and academics. On the contrary, Chen Fan didn't even work hard himself, and still wanted to force others to be with him. How utterly shameless. Because of Liu Ruyan's series of verbal strikes, now everyone thought of me as a total dummy, even though I had finally shaken off the baggage of being a simp and a loser's son. Now, because of my academic performance, people were rather reluctant to bother with me, yet I didn't care all that much either. Compared to the loneliness and helplessness of my past life, their actions were practically a piece of cake. After all, I still had my wealth and parents who loved me dearly. I focused on my classes and couldn't be bothered to mingle with them. After school, my dad drove over with my mom to pick me up. Both of them were in their 40s this year, yet back in their youth, they were total campus heartthrobs and legends. Looking at them now, their aura was not inferior in the slightest. Mom stepped out of the car, and the moment she laid eyes on her son, she gave me a warm hug, then considerately helped me open the car door. Liu Ruyan had just walked out of the school grounds, along with Lu Jinian not long ago, and witnessed the scene unfolding before them. A few classmates walking alongside them, seeing me together with an older-looking woman, couldn't help revealing a hint of curiosity. That woman must be at least 40 years old, right? What kind of relationship does she have with Chen Fan? The others had already started speculating, and I was wondering how Chen Fan could possibly be a young master. Turns out I really thought he was some kind of big shot. Liu Ruyan couldn't even be bothered to help explain things for me. Lu Jinian glanced toward Liu Ruyan and seeing her stay silent, figured everyone must have guessed correctly. Suddenly, he felt a trace of ease wash over him. Even though my academic results left much to be desired, my family was loaded, dropping hundreds of thousands in a single night without batting an eye. Liu Jinian had still felt quite triggered deep down inside, always feeling like he was naturally a tier lower than me. Now he felt instantly balanced out quite a bit. At the very least, he would never pull off such a shameless stunt. He would only rely on his own hard work. To achieve his own dreams, there will come a day when everything I have he will possess as well. Liu Jinian and Liu Ruyan got onto the public bus. Liu Ruyan saying I won't be sending you off today, since she could no longer go tutor me to make money. She had to find a part-time job instead. She had piled up so much gambling debt, and previously a huge chunk of her money had been snatched away by her father. Now, she had no choice but to find a way to make money on her own to survive. As for Liu Jinian, things were much better on my end. My parents took me out to buy a brand new cell phone, and then treated me to a nice meal. By the time we got to the restaurant, Li Xia had already arrived. Li Xia lived in Yunqing together with her uncle, and her uncle had a very close relationship with Chen Qingming. This time it could be considered a formal meeting between the two families. Chen Qingming had wanted to arrange this matter for a long time, but previously due to my fierce opposition, with my eyes only having room for Liu Ruyan, this dinner gathering had never successfully materialized. Today, seeing that I was willing to come along and eat together, Chen Qingming's heart was filled with relief and gratification. His son had finally grown up and was even willing to listen to what he had to say now while dining at the table. He and Li Xia's uncle chatted away happily. I sat right next to Li Xia and proceeded to mention our bet regarding my grades improving by 100 spots. Once I finished saying all of that, Li Xia didn't say much in response either, just letting out a soft acknowledgement as I failed to read the meaning behind it. Do you think I'm being way too reckless doing this? Will the pressure be massive? Hearing what I said, Li Xia looked toward me and replied, nope. Then do you think I stand a chance? Even though the problems you've been explaining to me lately, I can actually understand them all. It's totally fine. Li Xia watched me and said, just leave it all in my hands and you'll be good. Besides, you're pretty smart, and not nearly as dumb as what other people say. The other people she referred to was naturally Liu Ruyan. The things Liu Ruyan said about me being stupid, even though Li Xia didn't voice her opinion at the time, she had actually kept it all stored in her heart. Hearing these words, I couldn't help bursting into laughter, and said, with you saying that, I'm completely at ease now. Then I'll have to trouble you to work hard during this period. It's only right. As we were chatting away, I suddenly noticed that the private booth had grown quiet. I looked over and only then discovered that both Dad and Li Xia's uncle were staring right at me. This made me feel a bit awkward. Dad, what are you staring at me for? Nothing, you guys carry on. Chen Qingming continued chatting away with Li Xia's uncle just like before. Yet deep down in his heart, he couldn't help feeling a wave of emotion. Their relationship really is getting quite good indeed. Even though this fiancé arrangement was set up by myself, how come I suddenly get this feeling like my family's stinky brat is about to get snatched away? After finishing the meal, Chen Qingming and Qi Qing still had matters to discuss. So Li Xia and I headed out first. Instead of going straight home, we found a nice coffee shop. I wanted to eat some ice cream, so I went off to buy it. After finishing my order, I walked right back and took a seat next to Li Xia. The two of us continued discussing problem sets. At this moment, my mind was completely filled with study materials. After all running 10 kilometers, when the time comes to actually run, it could still cost me half my life. Your items are ready very quickly. And the waiter served the items right up. I raised my head up and saw that the person wearing the waiter uniform in front of me was none other than Liu Ruyan herself. I stared at her with a hint of surprise. Why are you even here? Liu Ruyan shot me a cold glance. That question should be mine to ask you instead. Did you know I was working part-time here and purposely came to discuss me? Is that it? Even though I was currently acting quite cold toward her, Liu Ruyan could tell that I basically still liked her and was just trying to force myself to submit to my fate. Otherwise, how could she just step out to work a part-time job and I'd magically show up on the doorstep? Where would there be such a coincidence in this world? You're overthinking things big time. It's purely a coincidence and nothing more. Liu Ruyan cast a sideways look at Li Xia and didn't stay to linger any longer, immediately turning around to walk away, completely unwilling to waste any more time with them. Seeing that arrogant and conceited look of hers, I truly couldn't fathom what on earth she was feeling so smug about. I turned back around and handed the ice cream over to Li Xia. Li Xia didn't take it, saying, you can eat it yourself. She reached out to help me pick up my school bag, and then walked out of the coffee shop together with me. Actually, I had originally planned to sit for a little while longer, but I just had to run into Liu Ruyan right here. This honestly put a bit of a damper on my mood. Over the course of the following half-month, I studied frantically every single day, and Li Xia also frequently came over to the Chen residence to tutor me. My grades had already achieved remarkable improvement. Yet whenever Liu Ruyan saw me being this dead serious, she couldn't help sneering that I was super annoying. If you're feeling regretful, it's still not too late to give up right now. Otherwise, when the grades come out later on, don't come crying back to take it back. It's just that you're being too loud and disturbing me. I furrowed my brow and instantly jammed my earphones straight into my ears. The monthly exams finally came to a close, and my mood was exceptionally euphoric. I immediately rushed back home in a rush of eagerness. Even though the grades hadn't been posted yet, I felt that my performance was quite solid. Licia was sitting right there in the courtyard, drinking tea while keeping Dabai company. Dabai is getting fatter and fatter these days. I walked over and hugged Dabai and said to Licia, "You've come over so early today. I should be this early every day. I'm just really curious. Don't you have any other activities at school?" Liu Ruyan is also a top student at their school. She and Lu Jinian previously had quite a lot of things to do every single day, yet compared to them, Licia seemed a lot more leisurely. Every time I came back, she had already arrived. I'm relatively free. They don't really care about what I do. Then aren't there any school activities to participate in? I generally don't participate. I don't join the student council either. Licia shook her head. Sometimes I participate in competitions, but I usually don't go. Why is that? Because it's pretty pointless. And the teachers also feel that doing so is a total dimensional drop in power. It would cause other students to lose all their confidence. However, I seem to have seen you participate in quite a few competitions. Like those competitions Liu Ruyan participated in before. She said you were there every single time, and even snatched away her first place finish, which is why she especially detests you. Li Xia picked up her cup and silently took a sip of water. Competitions that Liu Ruyan is in, she generally never misses them. I was urgently eager to know how many points I actually managed to score. So right there in the courtyard, I checked the answers against Li Xia and discovered that I had gotten a lot of questions right. My mood was extremely good. When the grades were finally released, the head teacher walked into the classroom and out of habit praised Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian. These two secured first and second place once again this time after finishing the praise zone. The head teacher changed the tune. Wait, this time I also want to single out one particular person. That person is none other than Chen Fan. Hearing this, I instantly perked right up. Liu Ruyan cast a glance toward me. Her eyes filled entirely with a mocking expression. The head teacher opened his mouth again and spoke. Chen Fan's grades this time around are pretty impressive, even though he used to be stuck at the very bottom. This time he has made massive progress. His score this time has squeezed into the top 200 of the entire grade. If he continues to work hard, he will definitely be able to score a great grade come college entrance exam time. Top 200. Hearing those words, everyone widened their eyes in shock. Even Liu Ruyan was slightly stunned. She had originally counted on me improving by 100 spots at most. And now I actually managed to break into the top 200. I never expected my improvement could be this massive either. This was something even I didn't dare to imagine. It was probably because I suffered so much hardship in my previous life that I no longer have the mental capacity to crave instant gratification, and thus paid exceptionally close attention during class this time around. I listened attentively to lectures every single day, and then went back to review with Li Xia. Li Xia is super skilled at explaining extremely difficult problem sets to me. Once she explains them, they instantly become way simpler. Facts have proven that as long as you put in the effort, there will always be a payoff. Teacher, you couldn't have made a mistake, right? Chen Fan's grades were so terrible before, how could he possibly do this? Of course, I didn't make any mistake. The head teacher looked toward me with a face full of calm detachment. Previously, he had always felt deeply troubled having such a student in the class, who constantly dragged everyone down. Who would have thought my grades would improve by this much? After gaining the head teacher's affirmation, I was extremely happy. I saw Liu Ruyan quietly staring at me from the side and saying, "How about it? Didn't you say I was stupid? Don't forget about those 10 kilometers. Liu Ruyan bit her lip, genuinely finding it impossible to comprehend. To be as dumb as that and still improve by this much? Could Li Xia really be this overpowered? After school ended, Liu Ruyan was helplessly forced to run those 10 kilometers. And I didn't even head back home either. Staying behind specifically to watch her get humiliated, I quietly sat off to the side, casting my gaze toward her. Watching that scene of her completely wiping out and taking an L, a sudden wave of inexplicable gratification welled up in my heart. It really is utterly satisfying. As for Lu Jinian, he was observing me from the side, furious that I had actually grown this cold and ruthless. While Wang Yan cast her gaze directly toward me, softly spoke to Lu Jinian, "It's just cracking the top 200. What's so incredible about that?" Acting all high and mighty as if he scored first place. School belle Lu didn't act this smug when she got first place. Our Lu Jinian even got second place, you know? Lu Jinian's gaze landed right on Lu Ruyan's body and calmly said, "You reap what you sow when you place a bet." Ruyan isn't the type of person who can't afford to lose. Besides, so what if his grades got better? When he gets back, isn't he still going to gossip about other people behind their backs? So, Lu Jinyan, you're just way too nice. Wang Yan gently patted Lu Jinyan on the shoulder. By the time Liu Ruyan finished running those 10 kilometers, the sky was already turning pitch black. She walked back drenched in sweat, glanced at me and said, satisfied, yet I nodded and replied, thanks for your hard work. Feel free to continue placing bets with me next time. I immediately stood up to my feet and left the school grounds filled with a sense of joy. Liu Ruyan escorted my retreating figure. The moment I walked away, my mood was exceptionally pleasant, and I was even skipping along with little bouncy steps. In her memory, I had always acted like an ultimate simp toward her. Yet right now, I couldn't even be bothered to spare her a single glance. Thinking about the things between me and Li Xia, could he really end up together with Li Xia in the future? Both his and Li Xia's family backgrounds were quite solid, making them a perfect match in social standing, if he really did end up getting together with Li Xia. As this thought bubbled up from the depths of her heart, Liu Ruyan discovered that she felt extremely triggered and grossed out. It felt like a strange sensation of having her own possessions snatched away by someone else. Ruyan. Seeing her constantly staring in my direction, Lu Jinian opened his mouth and asked, are you super exhausted? Drink some water as he casually passed a bottle of mineral water over to. Liu Ruyan reached out and accepted the water, saying thank you. In front of Lu Jinian, she always appeared exceptionally polite and courteous. Lu Jinian remarked, it's been tough on you, though it is also pretty strange. Chen Fan's grades have always been terrible before. How did he suddenly improve by this much this time around? Could it be that he cheated? I suspect he did it purely to make Schoolbell Lu lose. So he must have cheated. Otherwise, even when Schoolbell Lu was tutoring him every single day previously, his grades were still that garbage. So how come he suddenly improved by such a massive margin now? You're the only one who runs their mouth like that. Lu Jinian cast a sideways glance at Wang Yan. If you don't have proof, you can't just run around spouting nonsense. Just in case people come looking for trouble with you, you'll be in for a world of hurt you can't handle. Wang Yan replied, I'm going to tell the teacher tomorrow I took a car straight back home. I was dying of impatience to share this news with Li Xia. After all, being able to make Liu Ruyan admit defeat had a lot to do with Li Xia's contributions as well. As a result, Uncle Joe said Miss Xia didn't come over today. A trace of depression washed over my heart, so I immediately turned around to change my clothes and then headed out to a restaurant to grab a bite to eat. Lately, Dad has been out of town and not at home, leaving only yours truly all by myself at home. I pulled out my phone and dialed Li Xia's number. Li Xia was currently swimming at home, and the maid softly reminded her, Miss, you have an incoming call. The person inside the swimming pool acted as if they hadn't heard a thing. The maid added another sentence, it's a call from Chen Fan. Li Xia surfaced from the water and stepped gracefully onto the edge of the pool. The maid swiftly hurried over, holding a towel in her hands to gently wrap around her. Li Xia answered the phone, and the stern look on her face instantly dissolved away, revealing a tender expression. Are you busy? Did I catch you at a bad time? I was just swimming a moment ago. I heard you didn't come over today, so I just casually called to share some things with you. I smiled and said, my grades improved massively this time around, and I actually broke into the top 200. Guess what? Liu Ruyan ran 10 kilometers today. Seeing the moment she got completely slapped in the face was honestly beyond satisfying. Li Xia gently walked over to a lounge chair nearby and patiently listened to the joy I was sharing with her. Shortly afterward, I asked with a hint of curiosity, are you listening? Listening right now? Congrats. My call didn't disturb you, did it? It's fine. I happen to have free time right now. You've been coming over every single day to teach me during this period. You must be exhausted, right? Why don't you take a 2-day break while I study on my own? If there's anything I need, I'll ask you on QQ. Sound good? Li Xia, I didn't rush to hang up the phone just yet. You sound a little unhappy. Did something happen? Do you need me to help out? This sentence instantly left her stunned. Li Xia thought to herself, my behavior seemed to be just like usual, with no major difference at all. Yet who would have thought he could actually tell over the phone that my mood wasn't very good? Seeing her fall silent, I said, I know you don't like talking about your problems and tend to keep your feelings bottled up inside. However, Li Xia, the two of us are practically comrades now, right? You've helped me out with so many things, so I need to help you too. If it wasn't for her tutoring me, I definitely wouldn't have been able to achieve such a great score. And I couldn't just take her help and sacrifices for granted for free, especially given the fact that she wasn't short on money either. Hearing my words, especially with me defining our relationship as comrades, Li Xia helplessly raised the corners of her lips. Fine. The next day when I arrived at school, the head teacher walked in with a solemn expression. Standing up on the podium, he looked extremely angry, his entire body radiating a strong sense of oppression. His gaze locked directly onto me. Chen Fan, Get your butt up here and stand up. I stood up from my seat and stared in confusion at the head teacher. The head teacher spoke up saying someone filed a report against you for cheating on this monthly exam. Do you have anything to say for yourself? The moment I heard the word cheating, I swept my gaze around the surroundings and discovered that everyone's eyes were focused squarely on me, especially Wang Yan, who was sitting right next to Lu Jinian, with her face plastered in a smug grin. I looked at the head teacher with a serious expression and said, "Teacher, may I ask what evidence there is to report me for cheating?" Lin Jinmei, the head teacher, stated your score on the last monthly exam was heartbreakingly terrible. Yet this time you suddenly improved so drastically. That is honestly a bit hard to fathom. Just to be safe and cover all bases, we've decided to swap out the questions and have you take the test again. Do you have any objections? Hearing that I was being forced to retake the exam, I naturally wasn't happy about it. Wang Yan had long since eagerly jumped up. Look, didn't I say you cheated? If you actually scored it yourself, what are you afraid of? What's wrong with taking the test again? Seeing her looking at me with that smug expression, as if she had caught me red-handed, I found it utterly laughable. You report me for cheating without any evidence whatsoever, according to the principle that whoever makes the accusation must provide proof. Shouldn't you be the one coughing up the evidence? Otherwise, it's pure slander and defamation. If everyone acted like you and ran over to report me every single day, wouldn't I have to keep retaking exams forever? I might as well just quit going to class altogether. The moment I spoke up, Liu Ruyan also looked toward me with a hint of surprise. My previous personality had always been pretty soft, and when others acted aggressively toward me, I usually found it hard to argue back. Yet I never expected my train of thought to be this crystal clear this time around. Is the person standing right in front of me really even me? She had known me for so long and knew me inside and out. Yet right now she felt like I had changed so drastically. Seeing me fight back with fully adequate reasoning, it's no wonder others are questioning you. Having you retake the exam is also meant to prove your innocence. You wouldn't want everyone behind your back continuing to harbor suspicions, right? Seeing the teacher keep insisting and seeming not to believe at all that I scored these grades through pure strength. I chuckled, teacher. Of course I can retake the exam again. I just feel that being questioned like this for no reason is simply too absurd. We're classmates after all. Yet Wang Yan questions me like this. Who knows what her underlying motives are? If I score even better next time than I did this time, won't she just find something else to flap her gums about? So since she chose to report me with zero proof, BK, she has to pay some kind of price, right? If it gets proven that I didn't cheat, how about we just ask her to drop out of school? Drop out. Hearing the words drop out, the head teacher couldn't help hesitating. Wang Yan's grades were much better than mine, so the teacher naturally harbored a bit of bias toward her. He randomly went behind my back to spread rumors that I cheated. Once news like this spreads out, the impact on me is massive, you know? If I couldn't handle everyone's pressure and ended up having dark thoughts and choosing to self-harm, wouldn't I be in an even more miserable spot? The moment I mentioned self-harm, the expressions of everyone else instantly grew tense. I looked toward Wang Yan. Hey, what's wrong? Didn't you bite down hard on the claim that I cheated and wouldn't dare take the bet? Of course I dare, seeing me provoke her. Wang Yan immediately accepted the challenge. She indignantly spoke to the head teacher. Teacher, I am willing to stake my own future on this. Everyone knows what Chen Fan's grades are usually like. I dare to guarantee that he definitely cheated. Instead of agreeing to retake the exam, he's just stalling and bickering here. Wang Yan had already concluded that I was harboring a guilty conscience and said to the head teacher, however, if it's confirmed that Chen Fan cheated, then please expel him as well. I don't want to attend the same school as this kind of person. Before the teacher could even open his mouth, I had already agreed to it. The head teacher subsequently stated, Chen Fan, come straight to my office after class is over. With that said, he walked out. Wang Yan looked at me with a look like she was waiting to watch a good show. Liu Ruyan looked at me, and seeing that I actually used expulsion to make a bet, couldn't help advising Chen Fan, are you sure you want to make this bet? If it's confirmed by others that you cheated, you're going to get expelled and end up even more humiliated. If I were you, I'd go apologize to the teacher right now. A monthly exam isn't some kind of major deal. As long as your apology is sincere, I can put in a good word and plead for mercy with the teacher on your behalf. Anyway, you wanted to win against me, and you've already watched me run those 10 kilometers. I can let it go and not pursue this matter with you further. Seeing Liu Ruyan putting on an act of looking out for my best interests, I stared at her. She hadn't been talking to me lately at all, and had maintained a cold and aloof persona, yet here she was pretending to understand and spouting this nonsense. I raised the corners of my lips. Aren't you just assuming that my grades were copied from someone else? That's why you're here, acting all hypocritical and trying to advise me? Instead of lecturing me, why don't you go advise Wang Yan instead? She is your good friend after all. Even though Wang Yan was the one stepping forward, Lu Jinian wasn't innocent either. He just habitually used that innocent as a chrysanthemum persona of his. I didn't feel for a second that all of this had nothing to do with him. What kind of person Lu Jinian was in my past life. I saw through it with absolute crystal clarity. Every single time I had some unpleasant friction with Liu Ruyan, he would always stand off to the side making sarcastic remarks. The guy was the ultimate green tea bitch. Liu Ruyan had originally intended it as kind advice, but seeing me act so unappreciative this time, her expression turned icy cold as well. I'm doing this for your own good, can't you even hear that? For my own good, I curiously looked over Liu Ruyan up and down. What's wrong? Is the restaurant waiter job not working out? Regretted it and want to come back to mooch off me again. Hearing the words mooching off people, Liu Ruyan's face turned pitch black. She kept her face gloomy and stayed silent. Her part-time job really hadn't been going smoothly lately. Her academic studies were already quite demanding to begin with, and the student council also had tons of matters to handle. She had to grind away until very late every single day before she could head home. The main point was that tiny bit of money simply wasn't enough to cover expenses. I had spoiled her into being so lavish with money for too long. So she only just realized how difficult it is to live with a slashed income. Especially when it came to me, she originally thought I was just acting like a spoiled young master, whose emotions flared up and wanted to give her a hard time for a few days. But what on earth was going on with me right now? I actually stopped trying to simp for her altogether. Clearly, in the past, no matter how overboard she acted toward me, I would always eagerly cling right back onto her, seeing her just remain silent without refuting my words. I curved the corners of my lips upward. Are you still sitting there imagining that after I throw a tantrum for a few days, I'll spinelessly come back to coax you? Actually, I can totally understand it too. After all, I was used to spending money lavishly in the past. When I later got kicked out of the house and had zero cash on me, I was far too traumatized by those kinds of days. If you've lived a tightly budgeted life, right from the very beginning, maybe it wouldn't be a big deal. But once you get used to living a lavish lifestyle, going back to live a life of poverty, that feeling is genuinely excruciating. Back then, lying in bed every single day, all I did was fantasize. Fantasizing about when Liu Ruyan would suddenly come to her senses, realizing that I was completely innocent, and coming over to forgive me, then taking me back home with her. Yet no matter how much I hoped and prayed, right up until the day I died in misery, I never once saw her believe in me. I only waited for her to marry someone else, and waited until the truth of how she framed me came to light. Liu Ruyan's life right now probably isn't going very well either, no matter what. I had supported and provided for her for quite a long stretch of time. Not needing any of that, Liu Ruyan tightly pressed her lips together. If you still think that I'll come back to coax you, that's just pure delusional pipe dreaming. If you want me to turn back around, you might as well come and beg me. Who knows if I feel bad for you? I might even treat you slightly better and toss you a bit of cash. I wore a smile on my face as I spoke these words. Yet inside my heart, it was an absolute wasteland of ice. It's not like I actually would forgive her just because she came crawling back to beg me. I just really wanted to see what Liu Ruyan looks like when she's crying and bitterly pleading right in front of me. She's way too arrogant, and I can't stand seeing her act like that. In my past life, she drove me to a miserable death. In this life, there's no way I'm letting her off the hook that easily. I might as well dangle a tiny glimmer of hope in front of her instead. Liu Ruyan stated, "In your dreams." She coldly spat out those words and didn't look at me again. I wasn't in any rush either. As soon as class ended, I headed straight to the teacher's office. Aside from the head teacher, the dean of students was also present, along with 2 other teachers from the same grade level. They drew up a brand new set of test questions for me to take. Once I finished, several teachers graded the test papers together and arrived at the final results. My grades were indeed exceptionally good, which fully proved that my monthly exam score wasn't copied or faked in any way. The head teacher looked at me with a trace of surprise. "It looks like you really didn't cheat. It's just, why were your grades previously so abysmal?" I recalled how my past self used to lose his mind over Liu Ruyan and said back then I was clueless and didn't study seriously. Recently my family switched tutors and the results have been super obvious. Perhaps only those who have left school behind truly understand just how precious school days actually are. After all, school is the single relative place where things are fair. Here, if you put in the effort, you get to see the payoff. Whereas once you leave school, you finally realize how brutally cruel society really is. I walked back into the classroom. The head teacher and the dean of students walked over together and publicly announced the results after confirming that I hadn't cheated at all. Wang Yan wore an expression of sheer panic. How is this possible? How could he possibly not have cheated? The head teacher wore a dark, gloomy face. The atmosphere and conduct in our class right now are seriously terrible. Normally, students are supposed to help each other out. Yet you guys running around making wild, groundless speculations about students whose grades have improved is the absolute biggest blow to them. I hope everyone takes this as a warning and learns their lesson for the future. I looked toward Wang Yan. You said you were going to drop out of school, so you surely aren't going to back out of your word now, right? Looks like you're actually planning to renege on the bet. Turns out there really are people who can't even follow through on the words that come out of their own mouths, since that's the case. Don't go around making random bets next time, okay? Seeing her good friend getting bullied, Lu Jinian stepped up. To stand up for justice, you're all classmates. There's really no need for you to go this far. Wang Yan did it for your own good as well, fearing that you might have a temporary lapse in judgment and walk down the wrong path. She didn't harbor any malicious intent. Why don't you just cut her some slack and give her another chance? The moment Lu Jinian spoke up, the other classmates also looked toward me and chimed in. Yeah, dropping out of school is way too extreme, isn't it? I curved the corners of my lips upward and looked at these various faces who talk big simply because it's not their backs hurting. They really do give Lu Jinian massive face. Whatever Lu Jinian says goes no questions asked. I looked at Lu Jinian and said, you care about her this much, so how about you drop out of school in her place instead? Lu Jinian pursed his lips tightly and stared right at me. In no time at all, her eye sockets filled with tears, as if she had been brutally bullied by me. Everyone else around you started pointing fingers and criticizing me. The one who offended you was Wang Yan, not Lu Jinian. Why are you speaking to Lu Jinian like that? Yeah, Jinian usually speaks up on your behalf too, you know. He treats every single classmate equally and fairly. Seeing everyone ganging up on me, I curved the corners of my lips, treated everyone equally and fairly. You've got to be kidding me. If the one getting expelled today was me, would he still help speak up on my behalf? Of course I would speak up for you. Ever since the beginning. I've always told my classmates to treat you a bit better. Give me a break. I can't stomach this fake good guy act of his anymore. I turned to Wang Yan and said, you don't want to drop out of school, fine. Anyway, you're just that kind of person with zero credibility. Since you don't want to drop out, how about going to run 20 kilometers instead? Wang Yan stared at me, realizing that I was truly vicious and ruthless. 20 kilometers, isn't that basically demanding her life? Her athletic talent was already subpar to begin with. If you can't get it done, then be a good girl and drop out of school. I let out a huff and sat back down. Actually, whether Wang Yan dropped out or not didn't impact me much. But if I didn't give her a punishment, everyone else in the future would want to step up and stomp all over me. I always had to make her pay some sort of price. Wang Yan snapped, run it is then. Not only do you have to run, but while you run, remember to shout out an apology at the top of your lungs, saying that you falsely accused me and that I didn't cheat at all. Make sure everyone in the school knows what you did. Aren't you taking things a bit too far? Isn't that practically making her lose face in front of the entire school? Face? I reckon compared to you, I'm still quite merciful and kind after all. As soon as class ended, Wang Yan went off to run those 20 kilometers. To swap for avoiding getting expelled, she had no choice but to run even if she didn't want to. I wasn't sitting around idle either. I sat down on a nearby flight of steps and stood guard, watching her run laps, with zero intention of letting her off the hook. Her physical stamina naturally couldn't compare to Liu Ruyan's, so she didn't run fast, especially since she also had to shout out apologies while running. She quickly grew so exhausted she was about to pass out. Lu Jinian walked over and said to me, Xiaofan, Wang Yan already knows she was wrong. Can't you let her off the hook this once? She doesn't have good stamina like Liu Ruyan, so running a full 20 kilometers will literally kill her. That implies that if I had been driven to my death by your rumors, then it would have just been my own damn fault for having bad luck. Well, aren't you completely fine right now? You're not the type of person to do something desperate like that anyway. I shifted my gaze over to Lu Jinian's face. The afternoon sunlight beat down upon him, casting his figure against the light, with his facial features plunged into shadows making it hard to see clearly. Giving off a somewhat high and mighty vibe, I recalled how right before my miserable death, Lu Jinian had specifically placed a phone call over just to mock and ridicule me. As for everything Liu Ruyan did, I had no clue whether Lu Jinian participated directly, but he had consistently been executing right along with it. The two of them teamed up and drove me to my death. Yet here they were accusing me of being too harsh. You really have zero shame, do you? Just how long are you planning to keep up that innocent as a lamb persona? Don't tell me you honestly think that I should dote on you and let you do whatever you want, just like the other classmates do. If you're so unconvinced, go run those 20 kilometers in Wang Yan's place instead. Stop spouting useless wind and making sarcastic remarks over here. Seeing Lu Jinian get attacked, Liu Ruyan walked over and said, Chen Fan, don't you go taking things too far. Jinian was only kindly reminding you out of good intentions, fearing that if something happened later, you wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility. I raised my head to look at her. Oh, what a beauty saving the hero. Too bad he was the one who came looking for trouble with me first. If you don't want to get cursed out, stay the hell away from me. All those gifts you gave her before were all bought using my money? Don't tell me you actually thought she liked you for having nothing. And not because your family is poor and your dad is a deadbeat gambler? Liu Jinian only knew that Liu Ruyan's father was a driver and had zero idea he was also a gambling addict. He shot a glance at Liu Ruyan, and seeing Liu Ruyan's unsightly expression, he couldn't be bothered to fuss over matters regarding Liu Ruyan's family background anymore. He turned to me and said, "Chen Fan, is your hatred and targeted hostility toward me because of Liu Ruyan? You think I snatched him away from you? Then how about I return him to you for a few years? Don't you go saying stuff like that. I don't like him at all. Cut it out, Liu Ruyan. You might as well keep him for yourself. My place doesn't accept recycled trash." Before Liu Ruyan could even open her mouth, I continued on and said, "As for you saying I bullied Wang Yan, everyone in the school knows she was the one bullying me. I'm already being extremely magnanimous right now. If she doesn't want to run, she can just drop out of school directly. It's not like I was blocking her path or anything. I used to think about wanting to be a good person and maintain a nice guy persona by refusing to bully anyone else. Yet in the end, I turned out to be the one getting bullied, living this over again from the start. I just want to live my life to the fullest and feel great. I couldn't care less what other people think of me." Liu Ruyan saw that I was completely hopeless and beyond saving. So she said to Liu Jinian, "We don't need to waste our time worrying about his attitude either. If something actually happens to Wang Yan in a bit, he won't even have time to regret it. Let's go." With that said, she grabbed Liu Jinian and left my presence. Wang Yan lacked physical stamina, so after running only 10 kilometers, she collapsed and passed out cold. Liu Ruyan and Liu Jinian made a phone call and rushed her off to the hospital. I tagged along and headed to the hospital as well. Liu Ruyan shot me a look full of malicious glee. "Are you happy now?" "I am happy, yeah. What's there not to be happy about?" I picked up my phone and called the hospital director, asking him to arrange the absolute best medical specialist to come over. And then I footed the bill for all the medical expenses. Originally, Liu Ruyan and Liu Jinian had wanted to use Wang Yan fainting as fuel to make a big issue out of it. But now they were left completely speechless. Liu Jinian stood guard inside the hospital room, and looking at Wang Yan as she woke up from the hospital bed, he asked, "Are you okay?" Liu Jinian gently patted her on the shoulder. "How are you feeling right now?" "I feel uncomfortable everywhere." Wang Yan began putting on an act to look pitiful, while I held a carton of yogurt and casually drank from it. "The medical specialist already came and checked you over earlier, and your physical health is totally fine right now. It's just that your stamina is way too weak. It's recommended that you exercise more. Tomorrow when you head to school, remember to make up and finish the remaining 10 kilometers. Wang Yan widened her eyes in disbelief. She had literally passed out cold. Yet I was still keeping count of making her run another 10 kilometers. Could this guy possibly be any more vicious and ruthless? Are you trying to drive me to my death? Rest assured you won't die. If you happen to pass out, all the specialists in this entire hospital will be at your service." Seeing Wang Yan's face burning with rage like a blazing fire, I arched an eyebrow and gently asked, "What's wrong? Don't tell me you're planning to go back on your word. If that's the case, how about you choose to drop out of school instead? Don't you dare take things too far. I heard that both your parents work at Jintian Group." Seeing me actually blurt out details regarding her family background, Wang Yan widened her eyes and stared right at me. "Chen Fan, you investigated me, so what if you did?" Wang Yan clenched her fist tightly. "Fine, I'll go finish running it tomorrow. Then I can rest easy. The medical bills have already been paid in full. Rest assured that as long as your 10 kilometers aren't finished running, even if you drop dead, I'll still make the doctors bring you back to life." With that said, I turned around and walked out the door. Liu Ruyan watched the icy expression on my face as I walked out, and her brows knitted together in a frown. Wang Yan didn't have any major issues after getting an IV drip and resting at the hospital. Liu Jinian and Liu Ruyan escorted her back home. I wasn't sitting around wasting time either. After heading back home, I took photos of the payment receipts and the hospital's diagnostic report and posted them straight into the class chat group. Having witnessed way too many instances of people trying to scam others through false claims, I certainly wasn't going to leave any vulnerabilities for people to exploit. After handling all of this, I finally lay down on my bed to sleep. The next day, Wang Yan obediently went off to run the 10 kilometers. After going through this whole ordeal, she didn't dare act as arrogant as before. Whenever she was in front of me, even if she harbored discontent inside her heart, she only dared to gossip behind my back and wouldn't dare point fingers or boss me around right to my face. Other people harbored a bit more apprehension toward me as well. Everyone saw the outcome of offending me, mainly because I'm also super wealthy. Offend me, and I'll even foot your medical bills for you. Now they don't call me a simp anymore, nor do they talk about my bad grades anymore. Monday afternoon, right after I stepped out of school, I saw two girls looking pretty, attractive, standing by the school gate. Judging by their school uniforms, they should be from First High. So pretty. It's Lan Yingying from First High's tennis club. Back then, my eyes only had Liu Ruyan, and I hadn't paid much attention to anyone else. Lan Yingying, I seem to have heard of this person before, but I had zero impression of what she looked like. This time, taking a glance at Lan Yingying, I realized she had a pretty decent figure. But to say she's gorgeous, she falls way short compared to Li Xia. I also have no clue how my past life self managed to be so blind to actually turn down Li Xia. Now looking at Li Xia again, I only just realized she is genuinely super gorgeous. She comes out a notch ahead compared to anyone else. Having already waited at the school gate, I was just getting ready to catch a ride, but my path was blocked by Lan Yingying. You must be Chen Fan, right? Lan Yingying stared at me with curious eyes. Who are you, anyway? You and I shouldn't have any ties or friendship, right? Lan Yingying gently curved the corners of her lips. Lately, everyone on the forum has been buzzing about your stuff. It even spread to our school of course. Some people say I'm not to be messed with. The story of me teaching Wang Yan a lesson got spread so dramatically. Having someone pull an ultimate move on me right to my face, I think it's pretty interesting. And I wasn't even mad. I quietly asked her, is your name Lan Yingying? Lan Yingying stared at me in total shock. You actually know who I am? Don't tell me you've got a crush on me or something. I'm definitely not the type of person who mooches off others. As she said that, she even clutched tightly at her chest, as if me asking for her name meant I was going to try and assault her. I found her narcissistic look hilarious. Is your family so poor you don't even own a mirror? If you're really that broke, I can spot you some cash to buy a mirror and take a good look at yourself. As if I'd ever have a crush on you. With that said, I hoisted my backpack and walked straight away. Hearing me insult her like that, Lan Yingying felt like her self-esteem took a blow right. Why do you talk like this seriously? I'm actually quite pretty okay. I totally ignored her and got straight into the car. Lan Yingying stood right where she was, and the corners of her lips slowly curled up. Your name is Chen Fan, right? You actually dare to say I look ugly. Alright, I've officially memorized who you are. When I arrived home, Li Xia had already come over. She had vanished for a few days and finally appeared. Dabai hadn't seen her for several days, and was exceptionally affectionate toward her. Are you done with your busy stuff? Li Xia stood up. I glanced at her sideways, and realized she was just way too gorgeous. I thought you felt tutoring me was too annoying, and weren't planning to come anymore. I looked for some other tutors recently too, but found none of their lectures were as good as Li Shi. Yeah, in terms of efficiency, well, it's just that I had quite a lot of things going on. So you don't need to explain anything to me. I'm already super happy that you're able to come help tutor me. If you have other matters to attend to, go right ahead and take care of them. Back in my past life, I treated her like that. Yet right up until the end, she was still thinking of me, even having her people help collect my corpse. Compared to what I did to her just being busy for a few days counts even less as anything worth mentioning. Hearing me say that, Li Xia nodded and said, let's go have class. Thus, Li Xia and I walked into the study together. Not seeing each other for a few days, I had racked up a bunch of questions I wanted to ask her. While I was doing my homework, Li Xia was right beside me looking at the news online. She naturally saw it as well. She was originally a bit worried, wondering if I would be extremely heartbroken. As a result, seeing me and noticing my state was actually fine. Those words of concern were left unsaid. Li Xia's phone notification went off. She unlocked her phone and glanced sideways at it. It was a text message sent by Lan Yingying. Although Li Xia had already made a promise to me, he still worried that Li Xia might go back on her word. After all, Li Xia as a person always tended to act quite casually and on a whim. Li Xia replied with a simple acknowledgement. I'm heading over to your school this week. What are you going to my school for? I looked toward her in surprise. There's a tennis match to check out. The venue for the match is set at Bajang's tennis court. Then I'll go cheer you on. Hearing me say that, Li Xia nodded slightly. She recalled how every time she saw me in the past, I would always be trailing right beside Liu Ruyan. My eyes seemed to only hold that single person, completely unable to see anyone else. Perhaps he had never paid any attention to her at all, right? Yet now, hearing me say I'm going to cheer her on, a subtle, imperceptible hint of delight graced the corners of Li Xia's lips. The match was scheduled for Thursday afternoon. Before it even started, the school was already buzzing with excitement. Everyone was whispering and discussing among themselves. First High's women's tennis team has always had a pretty high skill level, you know. The other day, when Lan Yingying came to our school, she looked super gorgeous, right? No way. She falls way behind our school belle, Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan truly excels in both character and academics, with great grades and amazing tennis skills. Plus, she's gorgeous to boot. That's why she has a ton of fans around the school. Liu Jinian's mood had been quite annoyed these past couple of days, especially ever since That time I brought up how Liu Ruyan's father was a gambler, which always left him feeling bothered. He had seen those kinds of gambling addicts before. I kept my gaze fixed on my book and couldn't care less about them. If it were the past whenever Liu Ruyan had a match, I'd definitely be the very first one rushing to organize everyone and cheer her on. Thinking back on it now, that kind of behavior genuinely felt utterly laughable because everyone was talking about me hanging out with an older girl. The rest of them were busy rallying to cheer for Liu Ruyan. And nobody called for me, though some people were discussing how, word has it, Licia is also from First High, wondering if she's going to show up. Licia is literally the only person who manages to rank higher than Liu Ruyan on every single exam. Everyone left a deep impression of her name in their minds. She probably won't come right. I heard she rarely ever participates in matches. Getting a chance to lay eyes on her in person is seriously a rare sight. Seeing them chatting about matters concerning Licia. Liu Ruyan's expression turned somewhat gloomy, making her look quite uneasy overall. Her gaze slowly shifted toward me, seeing that I was completely engrossed in my textbooks. A wave of annoyance stirred within her heart. Does he seriously not plan on coming to cheer me on at all? She turned to me and asked, "You study hard like this every single day. Is there actually any point to it?" Seeing her actually care about my personal business, I curved the corners of my lips. Of course it's useful. I'm not like someone who already has great grades to begin with, so naturally I have to spend a bit more time studying. What can't bear to see me making progress? How am I unable to bear seeing you make progress? After all, I'm so wealthy and look this handsome. If my grades end up better than you and Lu Jinian, then how are you guys supposed to survive? Hearing that Liu Ruyan gave a soft chuckle, Chen Fan. You certainly have your ambitions, but you've only barely managed to squeeze into the top 200. The further ahead you go, the fiercer the competition gets. Who's to say you won't just drop right back down next time? As if I'd ever be afraid of you surpassing me? Me getting into the top 200 was already a miracle. Liu Ruyan fundamentally didn't believe I could surpass her. The reason Licia could surpass her was because she genuinely possessed freakish talent. Liu Ruyan couldn't even fathom how her brain was wired. Yet no matter how hard I tried, surpassing her was impossible, given all those years of accumulated gap. I spoke casually. Who knows? Who can possibly predict the future? I can't be bothered arguing with you. I need to go get ready for my match. He spoke while doing so, and just like that stood up and left the classroom. Lu Jinian, sitting right beside me and listening to the conversation between Liu Ruyan and me, unconsciously tightened his grip on his fingers. Yet he still walked over with a magnanimous air and asked me, "Chen Fan, we're heading off to cheer for Liu Ruyan in a bit. Want to come along together?" Ever since Liu Ruyan and I cut off all contact, Liu Ruyan stopped sending him gifts as well. Instead, Lu Jinian felt that he still needed to pull me back into their camp and couldn't afford to completely burn bridges with me forever. If I kept liking Liu Ruyan, I would spend money on Liu Ruyan, and he and Liu Ruyan wouldn't have to live such tight, strapped for cash lives. Right now, Liu Ruyan was busy with part-time jobs every single day, and the money she earned was barely enough to support herself alone, meaning she couldn't continue like before and escort him home every day. It was a world of difference compared to when I used to support and fund him. When I heard Lu Jinian's suggestion, I instantly rejected him. "I'm not going." "Why? Actually, Ruyan still treats you pretty well, you know? She often speaks highly of you to others. No matter what, we were all friends in the past, so there's no need to make things so awkward between us, right?" I raised my head and glanced sideways at Lu Jinian. I recalled how, in my past life, in order to get Liu Ruyan to marry me, I handed over my family's business straight to Liu Ruyan. Back then, Lu Jinian was also right in the middle every single day, singing Liu Ruyan's praises. He acted so magnanimous, never caring at all whether or not I would compete with him for Liu Ruyan. I used to think Lu Jinian was a pretty decent guy, but only later did I realize Lu Jinian wasn't indifferent. He actually knew very well in his heart that Liu Ruyan liked him and would never actually like me, while Liu Ruyan staying by my side allowed her to gain countless benefits. At this moment, hearing Lu Jinian speak up to defend Liu Ruyan, I didn't buy into that act at all. I happen to have certain standards when it comes to making friends, you see. Lu Jinian froze for a second, seeing me refuse to give Lu Jinian any face at all. The others chimed in to speak up for him. "Forget it. Why bother with a guy like Lu Jinian? If he doesn't want to go, then just leave it be." With that, they all left to get ready to go cheer for Liu Ruyan. After bustling around for a bit, everyone set off for the stadium. Liu Ruyan had already changed into her athletic gear. She came to a halt right in front of Lu Jinian, with Lu Jinian gazing intently at the corners of her upturned lips. The moment I arrived at the venue, Liu Ruyan's gaze landed straight on me. "Didn't you say you weren't coming?" Lu Jinian followed Liu Ruyan's line of sight and spotted me, ignoring the two of them entirely. I walked straight toward the spectator stands, intending to find a convenient spot to sit. After searching for a brief moment, I finally found a front row seat, deliberately keeping a fair distance away from Liu Jinian and the others. As soon as I sat down, instead of seeing Li Xia, I ran into Lan Yingying, whom I'd seen a couple of days prior. Lan Yingying walked right up to me. Chen Fan, don't you think you owe me an apology for the way you cursed me out last time? I couldn't help letting out a cold chuckle. Are you certain you weren't the one who came looking for trouble with me first last time? If she hadn't said those things back then, I wouldn't have cursed her out either. Lan Yingying looked at me and asked with a puzzled expression, when on earth did I ever provoke you? You love going around spreading rumors about girls. So if I don't curse you out, who else should I curse? Everyone else says those things too. Oh, so if everyone else says you're a lesbian, does that mean you are one too? Lan Yingying asked alertly, who on earth is saying that? Seeing that she actually took it seriously, I couldn't help laughing out loud. Lan Yingying cast a curious gaze my way and asked, stubbornly refusing to let it go, did you ask around for my name last time just because? I was genuinely left speechless. Looks like you didn't even dare look in a mirror when you got home, huh? Lan Yingying pressed on asking, do you think Liu Ruyan or I am prettier? Even though Liu Ruyan is practically a campus belle here at Bajong. However, Lan Yingying felt that compared to her, she wasn't lacking at all. I chuckled, what? Do you want to compare yourself with her? Fearing that I might blurt out something savage, Lan Yingying hurriedly cut in and said, I meant to ask if I have any chance at all. Anyway, since you liked him so much before, how about you try liking me instead? She said that she deliberately flirted with her own gorgeous hair and even gave me a wink. The guys nearby couldn't help gasping in awe, saying how pretty she was. I had never witnessed such greasy cringe flirting in my life and couldn't be bothered to entertain her. Right at that moment, a piercing scream erupted inside the stadium. I looked toward the entrance and saw that it was Li Xia who had walked in. Today, their team uniforms were pure white, and the one she was wearing had the number 11 on it. Originally, everyone was still paying attention to Lan Yingying, but the moment they saw Li Xia, everyone's gazes instantly converged onto her because nobody expected that Li Xia would actually show up. Upon seeing Li Xia, Lan Yingying stopped chatting with me altogether and hurried running over. Xia Jie. Upon seeing Li Xia, she not only curved the corners of her lips, but also waved her hand toward her. When Li Xia caught sight of me, her face still maintained an indifferent expression. Lan Yingying stood quietly right beside Li Xia, and following Li Xia's line of sight, she spotted me waving enthusiastically at Li Xia, causing her to twitch the corner of her mouth. So the reason he looked down on me was because he set his sights on my Xia Jie instead, huh? It's a pity Xia Jie has always kept men at arm's length, and never takes any of these guys seriously. Looks like he's bound to be disappointed. Li Xia, Lan Yingying, and the others went off together to warm up. Liu Ruyan didn't miss my devoted gaze, and seeing that the moment Li Xia appeared, I acted just like a loyal simp. She couldn't help letting out a soft chuckle. Liu Jinian looked at her and asked, has Chen Fan really taken a liking to Li Xia now? Actually, the very split second Li Xia appeared, Liu Jinian was also instantly captivated by her charm. Yet deep down in his heart, he knew very well that someone like Li Xia was destined to have zero connection with him. Not only was she outstanding in every single aspect, word had it that her family background was also exceptionally good. Plus, people said she didn't even like guys. Compared to Liu Ruyan, of course, he wouldn't possibly go and harbor affection for someone who had zero chance to begin with. Li Xia's grades were better than mine. Her family background was better than mine. And she was wealthier than me. If I fancied Liu Ruyan, she could understand all that. But for me to actually cast my sights on Li Xia, Liu Jinian genuinely couldn't wrap his head around it. Liu Ruyan didn't reply. I'm going to go warm up. She had thought I came here specifically to see her, only to find out I was actually here to cheer for Li Xia instead. Liu Ruyan felt incomparably agitated inside. She originally thought that the moment I stopped paying attention to her, she would undoubtedly be happier than anyone else, because I had always clung to her like sticky gooey tape. That couldn't be scraped off no matter what. Yet now that I no longer depended on her, she instead felt infinitely annoyed. It had always been like this in the past. She had consistently regarded Li Xia as her ultimate rival. Back during that period when she lived in the Chen household, she had already sensed that Chen's father intended to arrange a marriage partner for me, and that person happened to be Li Xia. Back then, she even thought to herself, so what if Li Xia outperformed her Liu Ruyan everywhere? The man she was going to marry was nothing more than her own personal simp, someone she fundamentally looked down upon. Whenever she thought of this point, her heart would bloom with joy. Having played the pathetic underdog for so long, she finally got to vent out a satisfying breath of malicious triumphs. Yet right now, I actually shifted all my attention over to Li Shi Ya instead leaving Liu Ruyan feeling thoroughly awkward and ill at ease. Wang Yan was standing right beside Lu Jinian, and seeing me sitting over in the stands on the other side, she bought some bottled water and walked over, even handing out some to the other guys nearby. Some of them had indeed talked trash behind my back before. After all, they weren't even in the same class as me. So talking trash about me was completely normal. But this time interacting with me, they found that actually I'm a pretty decent guy. The few guys who accepted my stuff also looked at me with much softer eyes. Is he just trying to win people over? With Li Xia right there, he must really want to show off, huh? You mean to say he actually wants to chase Li Xia? Oh my god. Is his brain fried or something? To still dare act this flashy without even knowing to keep a low file I just saw? Lan Yingying talking to him earlier too. Is he seriously down for anyone? As long as they're halfway decent looking. She couldn't help letting out a sigh. The guy has the capital to do it. His goal for coming to school isn't even to study. Actually, he's pretty pathetic too. If he had parents to keep him in check, I guess his current situation would be a bit different. Wang Yan scoffed, "What's so pathetic about him? You're just too nice, always considering others at every turn." Wang Yan now only dared to mock me behind my back, not daring to say anything to my face. The girls' tennis match started very soon. I watched very attentively. Today's match was especially intense. Right as the match began, both players Lan Yingying and Liu Ruyan consecutively picked up 2 yellow cards, leaving the audience in shock. Under normal circumstances, things wouldn't get this intense right from the start. Liu Ruyan initially targeted Li Xia because she felt she had to play better than Li Xia to make me look her way again. She might not like me, but I wasn't allowed to not like her. She wanted to show me that she was the only one worthy of my continuous affection. As a result, Lan Yingying suddenly burst in out of nowhere and kept targeting her. This kind of match was a total breeze for Li Xia. She wasn't even at the school team's level to begin with. Although First High's school team had a very high skill level, Li Xia playing tennis alongside them was still in a completely different tier. She played a few points and then started coasting. I watched her quietly from the sidelines and found her vibe completely distinct from everyone else's. Compared to Liu Ruyan and Lan Yingying's intense flawless state, she looked like she was just here to play around. The first half ended. At their resting area, Li Xia, sitting right in front of me, stared unblinkingly at Lan Yingying. "Why are you going so hard today?" She noticed Lan Yingying staring fixedly at Liu Ruyan. If it were the old days, she wouldn't have done this. Some guy said I was ugly. So I gotta work hard and show my stuff to let him understand this girl's real strength. Hearing Lan Yingying's words, Li Xia didn't take it to heart at all. After finishing her water, Lan Yingying turned back around and spotted me sitting in the spectator stands, raising the corners of her lips as she yelled out loud, "How's that? Am I badass or what? Your precious Liu Ruyan just got utterly wrecked by me." Right after Lan Yingying finished saying this, Li Xia glanced at her. For some unknown reason, Lan Yingying suddenly felt a chill run down the back of her neck. Compared to Lan Yingying's fiery enthusiasm, I noticed Li Xia lacked enthusiasm toward me. For instance, when Lan Yingying turned around to look at herself just now, she didn't even look back. Simply sitting right there, her personality was naturally extremely cold. So she probably hated standing out in occasions like this. Yet the more she acted like this, the more interesting I found it. I raised the corners of my lips and shouted, "Li Xia, you're so badass." Hearing me shouting over there, Lan Yingying snorted. He's totally trying to piss me off on purpose. He's still holding a grudge from when we argued a couple of days ago. Li Xia cast a sideways glance at the unfiltered Lan Yingying. Is that so? Entering the second half of the match, Li Xia played with exceptional seriousness, while in the first half, Liu Ruyan and Lan Yingying went back and forth in a fierce battle. Once Li Xia was subbed in for the second half, Liu Ruyan stood zero chance against her. The match ultimately concluded with an absolute overwhelming victory. Bajong suffered a crushing defeat. The one who suffered the most crushing defeat was naturally Liu Ruyan. In the past, everyone always said First High's Li Xia and Bajong's Liu Ruyan were frequently brought out and compared against each other, to the point where people's perceptions gradually formed a fixed mold, that the two of them were virtually neck and neck in skill. Yet today's match finally revealed the answer. Liu Ruyan was in every single aspect completely unable to rival Li Xia. When I watched Li Xia successfully score, I got so hyped I couldn't contain myself on the sidelines. Back in the past, I never properly looked at Li Xia as a person at all, nor did I have any clue how strong she really was. Looking at it now, my eyes were seriously blind as hell. Wang Yan, Lu Jinian, and the others had organized a group, and they originally came here to cheer for Liu Ruyan, only to find out they couldn't even open their mouths to root this time. Looking back at the side I chose instead, Li Xia already had the most fans to begin with, and now everyone was beyond ecstatic, while I was even more hyped up than anyone else. I stared unblinkingly at Li Xia, and even quietly screamed out in excitement toward her. Wang Yan rolled her eyes hard. She probably didn't even realize she was a student from Bajong. Good thing Li Xia didn't look down on him. Otherwise, it would genuinely make someone sick to their stomach. Right as Wang Yan's voice trailed off, Li Xia, who had just finished her match, walked straight toward the spectator stands and came to a stop right in front of me. When she closed in, all the other guys started whispering and sighing. Li Xia spoke up, "Give me a bottle of water." Her voice was as gentle as a spring breeze, soft and delicate. I never expected that someone could not only be outstanding, but also possess a voice this captivating. The guy closest to her quickly rushed to pass over a bottle of water, but Li Xia didn't take it. She gazed fixedly at me, so I had no choice but to pick up a bottle and hand it right to her. "You were so badass." My voice was extremely gentle, yet those few words still managed to curl the corners of Li Xia's lips upward. Right under my watchful gaze, she chugged down the water in gulps. Lan Yingying, who had originally planned to come show off, saw this scene and widened her eyes. What is going on? She had tried so hard to show off all day today, just to win her over, only to end up getting beaten to the punch by Li Xia. The main point was that Xia Jie was never interested in guys whatsoever. Even during matches, she would always bring her own water, and never had any physical contact with guys. She hated others getting close to her, and had always maintained a strict keep strangers at a distance vibe at school. How come right now she just... Could it be that Xiaji actually took a liking to him too? This thought left Lan Yingying utterly shocked. After finishing her water, Li Xia looked at me and said, "I'm going to go change my clothes first. Let's head back together once school is out." As Li Xia turned around to walk back, Lan Yingying stared at her with wide eyes. "Xiaji, do you know him?" Li Xia remained completely composed. "I'm chasing him." Seeing that Lan Yingying was staring right at her, Li Xia asked what. Got a problem with that? How could Lan Yingying possibly dare to have the guts? Of course, no problem at all. She just never expected that I was actually the guy Li Xia had her eyes on, especially thinking back to what she had just said. Right in front of Li Xia earlier, Lan Yingying felt like slapping herself across the face. Lan Yingying hurriedly apologized to Xia Ji. "I really didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know he was... If I had known earlier, even if it killed me, I wouldn't have dared act like that." Li Xia's expression remained completely calm. "It's fine. He doesn't think much of you anyway." "Then what stage has your relationship reached so far?" "She hasn't really taken a liking to me yet for the time being, even though I'm her tutoring student." Li Xia figured I probably hadn't fallen for her yet. I liked Liu Ruyan, while she was perhaps just someone I used as a tool to piss Liu Ruyan off. Yet being able to have some sort of use to me, she didn't mind it at all. Just being able to stay by my side already made her immensely happy. Hearing the words Li Xia just said, Lan Yingying couldn't help turning her head back once more, to take another glance at me standing over in the spectator stands. I stood there looking in her direction. Just a moment ago, I was cheering so earnestly, thinking I was just a loyal simp for Li Xia, only to find out her Xiaji was actually someone else's simpe. Compared to the calm person involved, everyone else was as excited as if they had just eavesdropped on today's gossip. In the class chat group, everyone was also actively engaging in heated discussions. Has Li Xia actually taken a fancy to Chen Fan? I knew that back in the day I used to be Liu Ruyan's simpy, while Liu Ruyan looked down on me entirely. Yet I still ran errands everywhere for her every single day like a servant, running back and forth busily. But now, Li Xia, who crushed Liu Ruyan in every single aspect, had actually gotten involved with me. Right at this moment, Liu Ruyan changed her clothes and walked out of the stadium. Right now, she appeared exceptionally gloomy. Losing the match was heavy, but the main point was that the person who made her lose actually made her lose in such a crushing, miserable fashion. Lu Jinian and Wang Yan closely followed behind her, wanting to offer comfort, yet not knowing where to even begin, because they were feeling just as depressed themselves. The second before they thought someone like Li Xia could never possibly take a liking to me, only for a split second later, Li Xia to actually take the initiative to come talk to me. Was that Li Xia's vision completely fried or something? How could she possibly take a liking to him? Did she not know what kind of person Chen Fan was? Lu Jinyan wore a dark expression. Originally, he still figured no matter how hard I tried, Liu Ruyan would always stand on his side. Yet seeing Li Xia get involved with me today made him feel like he was about to completely lose his mind. Why on earth did a guy like me get to have money to begin with, and on top of that even manage to chase someone like Li Xia? Could it be because they weren't working hard enough? The guys who had been with me earlier looked at me. Chen Fan, did you already know Li Xia before this? I casually threw out a question in response. Those guys asked again, then what's your relationship with her now? They had been standing close by just now. and Li Xia's gaze was simply too unique. The way she looked at me was definitely not ordinary, forcing them not to overthink it. After experiencing the whole ordeal with Liu Ruyan, I didn't dare to be delusional anymore, for fear of accidentally turning into someone else's simp once again. Seeing their caring looks, I replied, "Our elders just happen to know each other, so we usually run in the same circles a bit more." I see. Then your family must be seriously loaded." After waving goodbye to a few guys from other classes, I had already returned to the classroom. Seeing everyone staring straight at me, I was already used to them making such a big fuss over nothing. I quietly took a seat at my own desk. A girl sitting right in front of me glared straight at me and spoke in a full-on sarcastic tone saying, "We lost the match. Yet you look like you're having a pretty great time, huh?" She was teammates with Liu Ruyan. I curved the corners of my lips. "You guys lost the match." "It wasn't like I lost the match. Why shouldn't I be happy? Just because you got the eye of Li Xia? Do you think you're some kind of big shot now?" I let out a soft chuckle. "What's wrong? Are you mad? Did she not take a liking to you instead?" Her words were completely choked back by my reply, leaving her fuming as she shut her mouth tight. After a short while, Liu Ruyan finally returned accompanied by Lu Jinian and Wang Yan. Liu Ruyan sat down at her desk, and I glanced sideways at her, vaguely sensing in my heart that Liu Ruyan's fury at this moment seemed ready to erupt at any second. She always got this mad whenever Li Xia was brought up. In the past, I would have shared her bitter hatred, but now I just found it utterly hilarious. Liu Ruyan's gaze landed straight on me, and seeing me curve the corners of my lips, her eyes grew even colder. "What are you looking at me for? Your own skill isn't strong enough. Yet you're still going to blame me." Liu Ruyan stared directly at me. She had lost the match, and not only did I not offer a single shred of comfort, I was even sitting here mocking her. She felt utterly disgusted inside. In the past, every single time she lost a match to Li Xia, I would always buy things and send gifts to coax her into feeling better, telling her not to be upset, and saying she was way more outstanding than Li Xia. Yet right now, I had actually started ridiculing her. The after-school bell had already rung, and I quickly packed up my things and stood up. I walked out of the classroom, and seeing me leave, Liu Ruyan also stood up and grabbed her belongings, following right behind me out the door. She moved so fast that Lu Jinian couldn't even keep up with her pace. The moment I walked over to the stairwell, Liu Ruyan immediately followed right behind me and suddenly grabbed my arm. I stared at her, feeling somewhat caught off guard. "Liu Ruyan, what are you playing at?" Liu Ruyan stared straight at me, her eyes completely bloodshot. Seeing her looking like this, I froze as well. Liu Ruyan suppressed her emotions and asked me, "Do you really plan on being with Li Xia? Yeah, from now on?" Her question caught me a bit off guard. If it were in the past, she would never have cared about these things at all. What was going on with her now? Seeing Liu Ruyan gazing at me as if I had somehow let her down, I reached out my hand, wanting to peel her grip off my wrist, only to find that she was holding on to me extremely tight. I had no choice but to let out a bitter laugh. "Weren't you the one who hated me clinging to you the most? You said every single day you were stuck with me. Felt just like a nightmare to you." These were the exact words she told me with her own mouth right before I died. If she hadn't said it, I wouldn't have even known that my affection for her could actually make her feel so disgusted. It turns out that my wholehearted devotion not only wasn't precious in someone else's eyes, but was actually viewed as a burden. Hearing my words, Liu Ruyan froze for a second. "I never said anything like that." She didn't remember ever saying words like those. Of course I knew. The current Liu Ruyan hadn't said that yet. But that didn't mean she hadn't thought it. I sneered. "But didn't you always hate me before? If you didn't hate me, why were you always hanging out with Lu Jinian day in and day out, giving my things away to him, and treating him so well, while treating me like a mere servant?" As I said these words, I squeezed out a few tears from my eyes. Right now, I didn't hold any lingering affection for Liu Ruyan anymore. After all having experienced everything I did, the only thing left residing in my heart was pure hatred. I had already died once, so how could I possibly still ever like her? Yet the me from my past life spent an entire lifetime yearning for her love, begging for her to show just a tiny bit more affection toward me, only to end up meeting such a tragic end in the very end. Whenever I recalled these memories, my heart was always filled with matchless sorrow. That overwhelmingly intense grief couldn't help surging into my chest. If I hadn't been given this chance at rebirth, just how pathetic would that me, who was discarded by her in that urban village rental room, have been? Thinking up to this point, my eye sockets grew damp. Liu Ruyan stared fixedly at my reddened eye sockets. Originally, she only came looking for me simply because she couldn't stand seeing me walk this close to Li Xia. Yet this time, she saw something unprecedented in my eyes, a grief she had never witnessed before. She had merely never liked me all along, and she was the one who loved Lu Jinian. So why on earth was it that in my gaze, it looked as though she had committed some unforgivable crime? Had she really hurt me that deeply? I didn't know. I just didn't want to talk about matters of the heart. Even at a time like this, she was still making up excuses. I reached up to wipe away my tears. I know you just didn't want to talk about feelings with me. You and Lu Jinian are the true match made in heaven, right? Since that's the case, then whether I'm with Li Xia or Lan Yingying, it's none of your business. Is it? She still wanted to say something else. My reaction genuinely made her feel somewhat guilty inside. While the two of us were standing in a standoff, Lu Jinian and Wang Yan had already walked over. Lu Jinian stood right at the upper stairwell, gazing down at me. Liu Ruyan. Lu Jinian watched the two of them with a look of surprise. This time viewing it from his perspective, my distance from Liu Ruyan was extremely close, and my hand was still being clutched by Liu Ruyan. The moment Lu Jinian appeared, she acted as if she remembered something and hurriedly let go of her hand. Looking at her subconscious reaction, I let out a bitter laugh. Don't come looking for me in private anymore. I'm worried Lu Jinian might misunderstand. After saying that, I didn't stay any longer either, immediately turning around and walking down the stairs. Just as I reached downstairs, the eyes that had just been misty with tears were instantly wiped completely clean by me. I had no reason whatsoever to shed tears for a scumbag bitch like that. Just now, I only wanted to mess with her for fun. Since she deceived me so ruthlessly in my past life, I wouldn't let her off easily in this life either. Whenever she fell into despair, I always had to toss her a little hope that I still liked her. Seeing me walk away, Lu Jinian slowly walked downstairs and asked Liu Ruyan, "What on earth just happened between you two?" I just saw him looking like he was crying. I'm heading back. At this moment, she didn't feel like talking at all. Nor did she know how to explain to Lu Jinian that my attitude just now proved that I still liked her. So it must have been because she was too cold to me that I chose Li Shi. Perhaps I shouldn't have let me know that she was together with Lu Jinian. The moment I walked out of the school gates, I spotted Li Xia quietly waiting for me at the entrance. She had already taken off her sports uniform and was wearing first high school uniform. Lan Yingying was also right beside her, and the two of them were patiently waiting for me. As soon as I appeared, Lan Yingying spotted me first. Hearing the commotion, Li Xia turned around to look in my direction. At this moment, a lot of people had gathered on the campus, and everyone was paying attention to Li Xia's movements. Seeing her on the tennis court was one kind of vibe. Yet seeing her here brought a completely different vibe altogether, wearing the exact same school uniform. Lan Yingying looked somewhat tacky by comparison, whereas that clean, simple uniform on Li Xia was simply too captivating. Seeing me, she took the initiative to walk over and help me take my school bag. From her actions, it was clear to see that she was genuinely nice to me, and it wasn't a case of me simping after her. Li Xia didn't seem to mind how others viewed her either. Her gaze landing squarely on me. "Let's go get some food first." I nodded in agreement, my mood completely unaffected by Liu Ruyan. That woman simply didn't deserve to affect my mood. Lan Yingying saw me, and I raised my head and rolled my eyes at her. Seeing that I looked at her with displeasure, Lan Yingying lost her nerve and apologized. Previously, I was just blind and failed to recognize a true expert. Please don't be mad at me. I really was in the wrong. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her either. I merely asked Li Xia a question. "Are you guys friends?" My tone clearly leaked a hint of disdain. Li Xia glanced at Lan Yingying and apologized to me. "It's all my fault." "Let me apologize to you. You were the first one to call me out right to my face. And I remember it crystal clear. I was wrong. It's all those talking trash online's fault. I'll go check it out right away and see who was behind it. Your family's car is already here." Li Xia ignored Lan Yingying and casually opened the car door, watching me get in. Lan Yingying stood by the roadside seeing me and Li Xia get into the car together, and politely waved her hand toward the two of us. "Well then, I won't disturb you guys anymore. I'll head back first. Wishing you and my Xia Ji 100 years of harmony and early blessed sons." Li Xia closed the car window and said helplessly to me, "Don't mind her. I never expected you and her to actually know each other. We just occasionally play tennis together." The moment tennis was mentioned, I instantly recalled Li Xia's posture during the match and couldn't help praising her. "Li Xia, you're so insanely good at tennis. You scooped up so many points today all by yourself. You didn't even get to see how pissed off Liu Ruyan got." Li Xia watched me showering her with praise, remaining completely composed as she replied, "She was just way too trash. If it weren't for Liu Ruyan, she wouldn't have shown up at this match venue at all." When I heard Li Xia use a serious tone toward Liu Ruyan to express her thoughts, I thought it was pretty interesting. I never expected she would also have moments where she talked bad about others. Even though what she said was the truth, "You're just too awesome. I honestly don't know what other flaws you could possibly have. Your grades are great and you play tennis amazingly well. The guys sitting with me today all really like you. You don't know them. Of course, I know you don't know them. I just think you're way too awesome. But showing up at our school like this today and walking this close to me, aren't you afraid people will gossip behind your back and talk trash? Licia looked at me. What trash? I don't care about that sort of thing at all. Hearing this, I let out a slight smile. She seemed to have known about the rumors about me for a long time. Yet these past few days, she hadn't brought it up in front of me once. Could it be that she came over today just to vent some frustration on my behalf? The driver dropped the two of us off at a restaurant, and no sooner had we sat down inside the restaurant than my phone notification chime went off. I opened it up and glanced at it, discovering it was a message sent to me by Liu Ruyan. Sorry, seeing these 3 words I froze for a moment. She actually apologized. It looks like right now, she really doesn't want me getting close to Li Xia. Perhaps people are just like this, even when she is so utterly dismissive of someone herself. The moment she sees them getting close to others and ignoring her anymore, she starts panicking too. Li Xia on the side asked, "What do you want to eat?" "Anything is fine with me. You should check what you want to eat first." Li Xia ordered a few dishes, and remembering that I liked spicy food, she ordered some more for me. We had been regularly eating dinner together every night recently, and Li Xia and I had already gotten quite familiar with each other. Uncle Chen still hasn't come back recently. He's quite busy. Thinking of this, my heart felt rather uneasy as well. In my past life, my father passed away from a car accident right before my college entrance exams. Every single day now, I've been thinking about trying hard to improve my grades, leaving very little time to spend with my dad. Of course, my father had always been this busy, and even if I wanted to spend more time with him, he didn't have much time to accompany me either. However, I was mentally prepared. When the time draws near, if I prevent my dad from going out, I should be able to prevent the car accident from happening, right? Li Xia saw me chewing my food earnestly, my eyes staring fixedly at the table, while wondering what on earth I was thinking about. She gazed at me, realizing that I often got lost in thought like this sometimes. Her intuition told her I was harboring some kind of secret, but since I wasn't willing to talk about it, she wouldn't press me for answers either. Liu Ruyan had returned home, and her father, who had been constantly gambling lately, was back. Seeing him return inside Liu Ruyan's room, Liu Yo wore a cold expression. "How has your relationship with Chen Fan been lately?" "Not much of a relationship. Didn't I tell you to go coax him? You still haven't coaxed him yet." Seeing her father acting like this, Liu Ruyan was speechless. Why do I have to coax him? He already dumped me. Am I supposed to go crawl back and beg him instead? Do I have no dignity at all? Although the fact that he was together with Li Xia made Liu Ruyan feel deeply regretful, triggering an urge to snatch him back. Yet seeing her father looking like this, Liu Ruyan still felt somewhat glad she had broken up with Chen Fan. Right as she finished speaking those words, Liu Yong rushed over and slapped her across the face. "You little brat, if you don't go coax him." "Where are we supposed to get money to spend?" "Hurry up. How much money do you have on you right now? Hand it over immediately." Obviously, his money had been gambled away again. Liu Ruyan stared at her father. "You went gambling again. Stop meddling in your old man's business. Don't be as disgusting as your mother. Do you believe I won't beat you to death? Originally, you were doing fine before. Staying with Chen Fan meant you had an endless supply of money to spend. Even if I play a few hands of cards, it doesn't affect anything. But what about you? You just had to go hook up with that poor punk of a kid. Now look at this. You let such a big fish swim away. You better hurry up and reel him back in, or else I won't let you off," Liu Yong said as he stomped out the door. Seeing him leave, Liu Ruyan went over to the underbed hiding spot to search around. Discovering that the money she had previously stashed here had been taken away by her father, the Liu family's house wasn't big at all, and ever since she was a kid, she had lived together with her father, leaving practically zero privacy to speak of. There were only a few places where money could possibly be hidden. Back when she was still with me, she had secretly stashed away some of the money I gave her, because she was about to start university, and everywhere you looked after starting school required spending money. Her father was completely unreliable, so she could only rely on herself. Yet she never expected that her father would still manage to dig her money out. When Liu Ruyan stepped outside, her father was already gone. Staring at his receding back, Liu Ruyan grew so angry she couldn't help kicking the nearby wall. After finishing dinner, Li Xia and I walked out of the restaurant. It was raining outside, and your family's driver brought me right to the entrance and held an umbrella for me. Chen Fan got out of the car, and Li Xia took the umbrella and escorted me right to the doorstep. I turned to Li Xia. "You've done enough. That's way too polite. You should hurry back." Li Xia looked at me gently. "Good night." Her voice was exceptionally soft, and I looked at her, noticing her sparkling eyes. Gazing straight at me as a flush of red crept across my face, I nodded. "All right. Get back early and get some rest. See you tomorrow." Li Xia nodded, opened her umbrella, and headed back into the car. I watched her retreating back, finding that being around her was genuinely quite enjoyable. The driver quickly drove the car away, and just as I was about to step inside, I heard a familiar voice, Qin Fan. I turned my head back and saw Liu Ruyan emerging from the shadows. She wasn't holding an umbrella, and who knew how long she had been standing there. Her entire body was completely drenched. Seeing her like this, I felt somewhat surprised. What are you here for? First sending me a message saying sorry, and now coming over here in person. It looks like the little act I put on this afternoon really paid off. Liu Ruyan gazed at me, noticing that while a smile had just been hanging on my face, the moment I saw her, my expression instantly darkened. Is being with Li Xia really that makes you happy? It's pretty happy indeed. She treats me well, unlike... Anyway, what are you running over to my place for you? Do you still like me? Just like before. In front of Chen-Fan, Liu Ruyan had always worn a cold expression, and rarely ever displayed this kind of deeply affectionate look, even though I knew her heart was as cold as iron, and everything she did was merely an act. Seeing this side of her that I had never witnessed before still felt oddly satisfying. No way are you short on cash again. You only ever seem willing to show this kind of expression in front of me when you're out of money. Liu Ruyan stared at me. You're overthinking it. I just wanted to come over and check on you. I'm heading back. She finished speaking and immediately turned to leave. She hadn't walked far before I watched her collapse to the ground. I called Zhou Shen over, and Zhou Shen saw Liu Ruyan lying there. Wait, isn't this Miss Liu? What's wrong with her? No idea. She passed out. Zhou Shen held an umbrella, reached out and felt her forehead. Her forehead is burning up. She must have a fever. What should we do now? Are we going to deal with her? Bring her inside and find a doctor for her. Should we let her stay in her old room? Zhou Shen asked uncertainly. Didn't Uncle Liu have a room before? Just let her stay in that one for now. The rooms I used to arrange for her were all set up according to my own standards. It would be a total waste to let her stay there now. In her current state, she only deserves to stay in the driver's quarters. Zhu Shen had people drag Liu Ruyan into the servants' quarters, and then called a doctor over to make sure she just had a fever and nothing else was wrong. They just let her lie there. I stood by the window, gazing out into the courtyard. The rain tonight was truly massive. I had already taken a shower, and right then, Li Xia sent me a message. I've arrived. Yeah, I just finished showering. Then get some rest early. Good night. After messaging her, I went straight to sleep. The next morning, Zhou Shen prepared breakfast for me. As I sat at the breakfast table, I asked Zhou Shen, how is Liu Ruyan doing? She woke up right around daybreak and left early in the morning. Chen Fan looked at Zhou Shen with some surprise. Really, I thought she was still here. I told her to wait until you woke up before leaving, but she wouldn't listen. Sometimes I really can't figure out what goes on in her head. I think she's acting sick in the head too. Zhou Shen looked right at me and said, I think Xiajie is way better than her. Young master, you really shouldn't hang out with Liu Ruyan anymore from now on. Zhou Shen was afraid my simping brain was acting up again, and that I'd get back together with Liu Ruyan. Hearing Zhou Shen's words, I let out a reassuring laugh. Don't worry. If she hadn't collapsed at our doorstep yesterday, and I was afraid she'd die and cause trouble, I wouldn't have bothered with her at all. That's good. Ever since I cured my simp brain, Chushin hasn't worried about me constantly like before. It looks like that willful young master had truly grown up a lot. Arriving at school in the morning, Liu Ruyan had already gone back to change her clothes before coming to class. Seeing me appear, she kept her head down and didn't pay any attention to me. She seemed to have reverted back to her previous icy demeanor. I felt like this person was genuinely going too far. At least I saved her life last night. Yet she didn't even drop a single word of thanks. Did she really think I was still going to act like before and be her loyal simp? As soon as class ended, Lu Jinian came over. He and Liu Ruyan had a student council meeting to attend, and the two of them walked out together. Lu Jinian looked at Liu Ruyan and said, Are you feeling better today? Liu Ruyan glanced at him. Yeah, pretty good. Actually, losing yesterday's match wasn't really a big deal. Seeing Liu Ruyan hanging out with Chen Fan yesterday, Lu Jinian felt somewhat worried inside. Liu Ruyan didn't say anything, having her money snatched away by her father yesterday. She was still in a terrible mood right now. Seeing her not really talking to him, Lu Jinian said, Ruyan, if you want to be friends with Chen Fan again, I'll support you being with him too. You're overthinking it. I don't have any feelings for Chen Fan whatsoever. I was just ticked off seeing him together with Li Xia, and didn't want to let them off so easily. That's good then, Ruyan. No matter what you do, I'll always support you. Liu Ruyan nodded in acknowledgement. She remembered how her father wanted to use her to scam the Chen family's money, something she utterly despised. Liu Ruyan felt her father was a person with zero bottom line, and she refused to be utilized by him to do things she had no desire to do. That was why right after waking up in the morning, she left the Chen residence directly and didn't want to have any more entanglements with me. For the next period of time, because of Liu Ruyan, she hung out with Lu Jinian every single day, swaying right in front of my face. I didn't pay them any mind either. Every day I focused on studying diligently, and whenever class ended with nothing to do, I'd go out and check out properties. Buying real estate now, while housing prices were still low, meant they would skyrocket ridiculously in the future. Exiting the school gates in the afternoon, I stayed behind a bit late finishing up homework, so by the time I came out, there weren't many people left at the school entrance. Young Master Chen, I had just walked out when someone called out to me. I raised my head to look and immediately spotted Liu Yang. Uncle Liu, are you looking for Liu Ruyan? Yeah, I'm just here to check on this brat. I've been chewing her out lately. It's all her fault. Insisting on hooking up with that guy named Lu earlier. She has zero sense of right and wrong. Don't be mad at her. I've got nothing to be mad about. Seeing Liu Yong looking quite pathetic, I frowned. Right at that moment, Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian walked out of the school. Seeing me and Liu Yang together here, she walked over and yanked me away, glaring at Liu Yang. What are you here for? Last time Liu Yang took her money and disappeared for all these days. Coming back now definitely means he's broke again. Liu Yang rolled his eyes at her. I'm just chatting with my son-in-law. What business is it of yours? Get lost over there. Who's your son-in-law? He glanced over at me. Why aren't you scrambling away yet? What are you just standing around for? What do you seriously want to be my dad's son-in-law? Take a look in the mirror and see if you're even worthy. Get lost. She went off on me with a torrent of abuse, even though I knew her attitude toward me was always trash. Hearing Liu Ruyan talk to me like that still gave me a start. I glared at her, feeling like this woman always held this exact attitude toward me every single time. I froze for a few seconds before snapping back to my senses. You're overthinking it. Who would ever want you? After chewing her out, I quickly walked away. Liu Yang watched my retreating back son-in-law. Don't you worry. In a couple of days, I'll get Ruyan to come find you. Once we get back, I'll definitely teach this brat a solid lesson. He tried to chase after me, but Liu Ruyan didn't give him the chance and blocked his path. Liu Yang was furious, staring at Liu Ruyan. What do you mean by this? Liu Ruyan, you refuse to put in any effort yourself, yet you won't even let me put in effort. I finally got a chance to see him and you chased him away again. Can you do something useful for once? I already did. Seeing Liu Ruyan block her father on the street, Chen Zhuolian. Can you stop coming to the school? I'm coming whether you like it or not. Where's the money? Do you have cash? I don't have any money. You took all that previous cash away? That was money for my university tuition. Then what have you been up to lately? The moment that was brought up, Liu Yang grew wildly agitated. Back when Liu Ruyan was able to manipulate me, he didn't have a single complaint. Nor did he care whether Liu Ruyan hung out with Lu Jinian every single day, since I didn't mind it myself anyway. So why won't it fly now? Because of Lu Jinian, I stopped paying attention to Liu Ruyan, so he couldn't tolerate Liu Ruyan keeping this up. He still had to keep her in check. Liu Ruyan said, "This is my own business. Hurry up and leave. I have to go to work. Work. All you ever think about is work. How much cash can that crappy job of yours make in a month? You'd be way better off going to properly coax Chen Fan. Look at how pissed off you made him just now. I just don't like his kind." So what? Liu Yang couldn't help wanting to throw hands with Liu Ruyan. But remembering this was a school. I'll deal with you when we get back. Hand over the money right now. If you don't give it to me, I'll go find Chen Fan. Liu Ruyan stared at her father and pulled a few $100 out of her pocket. Just this, only this much. This isn't enough. Go scrape up some cash right now. Did you hear me? You surely don't want to see them chop off your old man's hands, do you? You really are just like your mother with zero conscience. Knowing people are going to chop off your hands? You shouldn't have gone gambling in the first place. Liu Ruyan wore an icy expression. Your life or death has nothing to do with me. Finishing her sentence, she boarded the bus parked right at the entrance. Without waiting for her father anymore, Liu Yang saw her run off, fuming with rage. He glanced at the few $100 in his hand and wandered off as well. This daughter of his was truly becoming more and more disobedient. Lu Jinian had originally walked out together with Liu Ruyan. Seeing this scene, he didn't rush out, just hid off to the side watching quietly, and only came out after they all left. Previously, he only knew Liu Yang was a driver and had no idea that was actually Liu Ruyan's father. On top of that, Liu Ruyan was broke right now, yet he still ran over shaking her down for cash. That was pushing it just a bit too far, right? Thinking that if he went out there, things would inevitably get pretty embarrassing. He simply chose not to go out, and only emerged after they left. I sat in the car watching for a good long while, before telling the driver to get moving. Thinking about how Liu Ruyan actually cursed me out, I found it pretty laughable too. I didn't even like her anymore yet. She was terrified I'd marry her off just because her old man said a couple of nice things about me. When I got back home, Joshen watched me walk in with a big grin. Young master is back. Who ticked you off? Seeing my sullen face, Chushen instantly picked up on my bad mood. It's nothing, just some bad luck. If Licia comes over later, have her come straight to the study to find me. Licia had been arriving a bit late lately, and I had no clue what she was busy with. Not long after I headed upstairs, Licia arrived. Young master has been a bit unhappy today. What's wrong with him? He didn't say, but judging by how it looked, it probably has to do with Liu Ruyan. Only stuff concerning Liu Ruyan makes him act that cold. Licia went upstairs, pushed open the study door, and saw me with the computer turned on, watching this year's most popular Spring Festival gala sketch, and watching it quite intently, even laughing happily. Licia walked over and sat down in the empty spot next to me. I looked over at her. You're here. Yeah. Got held up by a few things. You've been super busy lately. Previously, she used to come over early every single day, and even got out of school earlier than me. Judging by how things looked recently, she seemed to have a ton of things on her plate. Hearing me bring that up, Licia gave a slight nod. Still, tutoring sessions won't be affected. I'll try my best to come over every time. Your grades have improved a lot lately too. You're planning to go to college in Beijing, right? Hearing my question, Licia froze for a moment. Actually, her family wanted her to leave right now, but she had been holding off. She gazed at Chen Fan and said, "How did you know?" Hearing her words, I curved the corners of my mouth. Of course I knew, since it happened in the past life. Except those were all things that happened after the college entrance exams. Back then, I never even thought about leaving to go anywhere else. Because Liu Ruyan chose a local school, I stayed right here. As a matter of fact, in my past life, Liu Ruyan's score was extremely high. High enough for Tsinghua or Peking University. Yet she chose to stay in Yuncheng. I didn't get it either. Maybe because she couldn't bear to leave this place. Or maybe because she couldn't bear to leave Lu Jinian. I never kept anything from her whenever something happened. Yet whenever she had issues, she never told me a thing. Plus with her father passing away during that period. I'll probably go, but it'll likely be after the college entrance exams wrap up. Do you think my grades can make it into a Beijing school? Licia looked at me and nodded. Yeah, as long as you want to. You can definitely get in. Close the computer video. Stretched lazily. Then let's work hard toward that goal. Licia looked at me with some surprise. You want to go to Beijing? I just want to give it a real shot. Licia looked at me, and seeing her return to that confident look, my mood improved, though I had been royally pissed off by Liu Ruyan earlier. I recounted what happened at the school gates, saying, "Isn't that hilarious?" I never even said I was going to marry her, yet she acted terrified that I'd force her into marrying me. Just because her old man said 2 nice things about me, what a psycho, all she does is simp for Lu. Jinian acting like everyone's dying to have her. Yeah, it's all my fault for being blind in the past, and making her think she was so important. Licia looked at me and said, "Our Xiaofan is the best," and would never look twice at her. Hearing Licia's words, I looked over at her, and seeing that she was actually staring straight at me, I instantly felt a bit embarrassed. After a good while, I finally snapped out of it. Do you talk like that to everyone? No, I'm not that kind of casual person. Putting it that way, I must be pretty special to you then. Hearing my words, Licia froze for a second, and wouldn't even look at me, simply putting on a serious expression. I promised Uncle Chen that I'd take good care of you. The moment I heard her drag out my dad, I instantly felt kind of defeated. She's way too obedient. If your family made you end up with someone else down the road, would you just say yes to that too? Licia looked at me, her expression complicated. All right, I was just joking with you. Don't take it so seriously. You acting like this makes me feel like I'm totally bullying you. Licia, is there any guy you actually like? Why ask something like that? Just curious. Even though my dad asked you to look after me and you agreed, you should still have your own thoughts. In case there's some guy you like, don't force yourself just for this. Have we been hanging out every day recently? To the point where you're already sick of me. There was a hint of hurt in her eyes. I'll be heading home first today. That's not what I meant. I'm not trying to chase you away. Hey, Licia, your temper is way too big. She didn't stay and walked out right then and there. Chushin saw her coming out. Miss Xia, I'm heading back first. Licia's expression was looking super rough. All right, then take care on your way out. I came down from upstairs, and Licia had already headed out the door. Chushen saw me and asked young master what's wrong. She got mad again. I was just making casual conversation with her and she still manages to blow a fuse? Our Xiaofan is the best and would never look twice at her. Hearing Licia's words, I looked over at her, and seeing that she was actually staring straight at me, I instantly felt a bit embarrassed. After a good while, I finally snapped out of it. Do you talk like that to everyone? No, I'm not that kind of casual person. Putting it that way, I must be pretty special to you then. Hearing my words, Licia froze for a second and wouldn't even look at me. simply putting on a serious expression. I promised Uncle Chen that I'd take good care of you. The moment I heard her drag out my dad, I suddenly felt kind of exhausted. She's way too obedient. If your family made you end up with someone else down the road, would you just say yes to that too? Li Xia looked at me, her expression complicated, alright. I was just joking with you. Don't take it so seriously. You acting like this makes me feel like I'm totally bullying you. Li Xia, is there any guy you actually like? Why ask something like that? Just curious. Even though my dad asked you to look after me and you agreed, you should still have your own thoughts. In case there's some guy you like, don't force yourself just for this. Have we been hanging out every day recently? To the point where you're already sick of me. There was a hint of hurt in her eyes. I'll be heading home first today. That's not what I meant. I'm not trying to chase you away. Hey, Li Xia, your temper is way too big. She didn't stay and walked out directly instead. Chushin saw her coming out. Miss Xia, I'm heading back first. Li Xia's expression was looking super rough. Alright, then take care on your way out. I came down from upstairs and Li Xia had already headed out the door. Chushin saw me and asked young master what's wrong. She got mad again. I was just making casual conversation with her, and she still manages to blow a fuse. As long as you treat her a little bit better, wouldn't this brainless girl be totally wrapped around your finger? I don't like him, and I'm not gonna be with a man. I don't like... What's even the point of love anyway? I never told you to actually like Chen Fan. I only told you to go bleed him for his money. Is there a problem with that? I'm not doing it anymore. Thinking of Chen Fan, she realized they were never from the same world to begin with. Either way, Liu Ruyan just didn't want to walk alongside me. She had to admit, having me around really kept her life simple. But seeing her father's smug look, she just felt super unhappy. If I hadn't given birth to someone as good looking as you, do you think you'd have the chops to catch a rich guy's eye? And I know your school grades are good, but back when I was in school, my grades weren't bad either. What's so great about that Chen Qingming anyway? His exam scores back then weren't even as good as mine. He only became a boss because his family had cash. Liu Ruyan wore a sullen face, stormed straight into her room and slammed the door shut. Liu Yong stood outside the door, cursing away for ages. So she simply grabbed some tissue to plug up her ears. The next morning at school, I spotted Liu Ruyan, and the moment she walked in, her face was injured. I froze for a second. What happened to Liu Ruyan? Did she get beaten up? Remembering her clash with her father yesterday, could it be that she got trashed by her old man after heading home? Liu Ruyan sat down nearby, and everyone else seeing this didn't dare say a word. Lu Jinian also caught sight of Liu Ruyan's appearance, and seeing her injured, he got a bit startled too. Liu Ruyan took her seat without uttering a single word, watching this unlucky yet stubborn to the core look of hers. I couldn't help chiming in, "Did your dad beat you up?" Hearing my words, Liu Ruyan gave me a dark look and said, "What? Planning to play the hero again? Sure, just hand me a few million then." He owes a mountain of gambling debts. You give me a few million, and I'll be your friend. How about that? As she spoke, her gaze was dripping with pure sarcasm, like she was mocking my utter stupidity. It instantly made my blood boil. I was just asking casually, and you immediately demand a few million right off the bat. You really know how to dream? Since that's the case, then mind your own damn business. Liu Ruyan kept her head down with an icy expression. Actually, she hadn't been beaten by her father today. Rather, those debt collectors had shown up at their house early in the morning to cause trouble for her old man, and she got caught in the crossfire and ended up hurt. Actually, I care about you quite a bit. That word care made Liu Ruyan's heart skip a beat. She looked over at me, and I raised the corners of my mouth, caring about whether you're living well right now. The moment I hear you're doing terribly, that's when I can finally rest easy. Next time your dad hits you, remember to give me a heads up, so I can come over and cheer him on. Liu Ruyan pulled out her textbook, her entire complexion looking super ghastly. Finding my bullying intolerable, she finally spoke up. Don't tell me you actually think being with Li Xia will bring you true happiness. With her superior conditions in every single way, how could she possibly ever look at you? After a moment, I asked, so which school are you planning to test for? In the past life, both Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian ended up attending Yuncheng University. But I was still super curious. Why did Liu Ruyan suddenly set her sights on Yuncheng University? Instead of going to Tsinghua or Peking University, why do you care? Just curious. Wanted to see which school you guys are testing for. I'll tag along with you guys too, if everyone knows each other. Going to the same school is pretty sweet, right? That way I can also see if you guys actually stay together forever. Time flew by like a racing steed, and amidst tense and fulfilling exam preparations, the college entrance exams finally arrived and quietly came to an end. Outside the testing grounds, the sunlight was blindingly bright. I took a deep breath, the air filled with the fragrance of gardenias and the sweet scent of sweet release and a brand new beginning. I glanced back once at the familiar school gates. With zero hesitation in my heart, only a clear and serene mind remained. This time I fought for myself and handed in an exam paper I could be proud of with a clear conscience. Chenfan Li Shia's voice was crisp and clear, standing beneath the shade of the parasol tree with a warm aura. Smiling as she looked at me, "How did the exam go?" I walked over quickly. "And you, that final big question, I'm guessing you used the second solution we discussed." "That's right, thanks to that train of thought you had. It was practically custom made for me. I feel totally secure about it this time." The two of us looked at each other and smiled. A tacit understanding that needed no words flowed through the air. Right at that moment, a discordant wave of noise drifted over. I raised my eyes to look and saw that Liu Ruyan and Lu Jinian were surrounded by a group of classmates, yet the atmosphere seemed somewhat subtle. Liu Ruyan's face was pale, with dark, heavy circles under her eyes. Clearly, during this final sprint period, she had gone through an extremely grueling time. The debt issues of her father Liu Yang, those debt collectors pounding away like skeleton ghouls, had even caused a scene at the school, pushing her already strained nerves right to the brink of a breakdown. What made her heart even colder was that, at the exact time she needed support the most, Lu Jinian began intentionally or unintentionally distancing himself from that once cherished person. Yet this top student's facade in front of the cruelty of reality exposed nothing but cowardice and selfishness. He no longer openly defended Liu Ruyan like before, and even when others gossiped about her family's messy affairs, he would choose to remain silent or change the subject. At this moment, Lu Jinian was saying something to Liu Ruyan, his expression of formulaic comfort, while his body language betrayed a sense of alienation. Liu Ruyan looked at him with a complex gaze, holding unwillingness alongside a trace of knowing mockery. I withdrew my gaze, my heart no longer holding any ripples all the love, hate, and obsession of my past life. Viewed from today, turned out to be nothing more than a self-directed, absurd dream. I no longer hated Liu Ruyan, but neither did I hold a single shred of sympathy. Everyone has to take responsibility for their own choices. She chose to rely on Lu Jinian while trampling on his sincere heart. So perhaps she would just have to swallow today's bitter fruit all by herself. "Let's go." Dad and Aunt Jo should already be waiting for us. On the day the college entrance exam scores were released, the entire Yuncheng was in an uproar. The biggest piece of news was not Liu Ruyan, who had always comfortably sat on the throne of the top spot, nor Lu Jinian, but rather the dark horse Chen Fan, who had created a miracle. With a shockingly high score, I not only far exceeded the baseline, but even surpassed Liu Ruyan, and together with Li Xia was admitted by Beijing's top-tier university. Once the news got out, all those classmates who used to mock me as a good-for-nothing servant's son were left completely speechless. Inside the class group chat, those cold sneers and sarcastic remarks from before had vanished, replaced by all sorts of congratulations. And slightly awkward flattery. Wang Yan even quietly retracted all the rumors he had previously spread about me on the forum. Looking at the constantly jumping notifications on my phone screen, my inner self remained calm. I long ago stopped needing these external forms of validation to prove my worth. Reborn once more. My greatest gain was reclaiming my self-respect, seeing through human nature, and gaining a clear goal to fight for. At the same time, Liu Ruyan's ending was also sigh-inducing. The massive family pressure and emotional blows seriously impacted her performance on the spot. She flopped on the college entrance exams, and although her score could get her into a decent undergraduate university, she missed out entirely on Tsinghua and Peking University, and could no longer follow the path of Lu Jinian, whom she had originally been dead set on tracking. Lu Jinian, as desired, got admitted to a prestigious school in the north. And after receiving his acceptance letter, he tactfully proposed a temporary split to Liu Ruyan, suggesting they both focus on their studies instead. Liu Ruyan's father, Liu Yong, met with an accident while dodging debts, and after being hospitalized with severe injuries, he would likely need people to take care of him for the rest of his life. This man, who once daydreamed about clinging to a wealthy family through his daughter, ultimately buried everything with his own greed. Liu Ruyan silently bore everything all on her own. She turned down everyone's help, including a financial aid package offered by my family out of humanitarian grounds. She ended up selling the few remaining items left at home, and took her father away from Yuncheng, that heartbreaking place, heading to a small town where nobody knew them, to start a life that truly belonged to her, one filled with hardship, yet completely freed from past vanity. Perhaps this was the true starting point of her life. During the summer vacation after the college entrance exams, Chen Qingming specifically put aside all his work and took me and Li Xia on a long-distance trip. During the trip, I was no longer that rebellious and reckless teenager who needed his father to constantly worry about him. I had grown steady and considerate, taking the initiative to plan routes and look after the emotions of both Li Xia and my dad. One evening, on the beaches of Sanya, the setting sun dyed the sea surface a golden red. Chen Qingming watched his son who was chasing the waves, alongside Li Xia on the sand, his eyes filled with complete gratification. He walked over to my side, patted my shoulder. Xiaofan, Dad knows everything. Knows what? Knows about that dream you experienced. Although I'm not clear on the specifics, I can pretty much guess. Thank you, son. Thank you for saving Dad. And saving yourself too. My nose stunk. So Dad had long since noticed my changes and protected me through this silent way of support. Regarding you and Xia, Dad gives it both thumbs up. She's a good kid. Better at judging people than your old man here. This is a graduation gift from Dad to you. And also a betrothal gift given in advance. As he spoke, he handed me a document folder, inside of which were the transfer documents for the majority of shares in the Chen Family Enterprises Beijing Corporation, along with the property deed for a meticulously renovated courtyard house located right near the university. Chen Qingming used this method to tell his son your future and the happiness you control. Dad will back you up 100%. The final stop of the trip was on the rooftop terrace of the courtyard house. The night breeze was slightly chilly, and the stars filled the sky. Li Xia leaned against the railing, gazing at the myriad lights of Beijing City. I walked over to her side, draped a cashmere blanket over her shoulders. Xia, there's something I've owed you for 2 lifetimes. I'm sorry for being completely blind in my past life. My voice choked up a bit as I gathered the courage to hold Li Xia's slightly chilled hand, and also, thank you for still being willing to wait for me in this lifetime. I know, saying I like you right now might still not be enough, but I hope you can give me a chance to spend the rest of my life learning how to love you and to cherish you the way you cherish me. Would you be willing to be my girlfriend? Li Xia didn't answer immediately. She simply took a step forward, gently leaning into my embrace, burying her head against my chest. After a long while came her voice, carrying a hint of tears, yet filled with incomparable firmness. Chen Fan, I wasn't waiting for you. I was waiting for myself until I became strong enough, so that no matter what kind of person you turned into, I would have the capability to walk toward you. Fortunately, in this lifetime, the speed at which you walked toward me was a bit faster than I had imagined. Hearing Li Xia's words tinged with a crying tone, yet filled with unshakable firmness, my entire body froze, and then with even greater force, I pulled her tightly into my embrace, as if wanting to knead this girl who had waited for me across 2 lifetimes, completely into my very bones and blood, resting my chin against her soft hair. The pent-up bitterness and scorching affection accumulated over 2 lives surged up together. My tears smashed down into her hair without any warning. I've lived through 2 lifetimes, and in the previous one, I only saw who truly treated me well right on my deathbed, living through half a lifetime in a muddled haze, misplacing all my burning passion onto the wrong person, leaving this girl who should have been held in the palm of my hand, to guard a silent unknown devotion all by herself, waiting for so long. Silly girl, the one who should be saying fortunately has always been me. I raised my hand and gently wiped away the undried tear tracks on her cheek, lowering my head to look at her reddened corners of her eyes, that pair of eyes that were always cool and serene, at this moment carrying the stars all over the sky, only mirrored my single figure within them. My voice was hoarse, yet carried an unprecedented solemnity and devotion. Every single word sounded like an oath for the rest of my life. In my past life, I was blind, mistaking pearls for wood, letting you suffer so many grievances, in places where I couldn't see, waiting through so many days and nights. Until the day I died, I finally realized that there really was someone in this world who regarded me heavier than anything else. I lowered my head, my forehead gently pressing against hers, our nose tips brushing and our breaths intertwining. The summer night breeze wrapped around the gardenia, flower fragrance from the courtyard as it blew over, ruffling through the tips of our hair. This time when I woke up, the very first thing I wanted to do was to stay as far away as possible from those rotten people and messed up matters. The second thing was to run toward you with all my might. I was always afraid I was running too slowly, afraid you had waited too long, afraid that just like in the past life, you'd be hurt by me again. And turn around to leave, my thumb gently stroked her cheek, watching the watery sheen in her eyes as I leaned down to plant a gentle and cherished kiss, right on the center of her brows, as if smoothing away all her waiting and unease from both lifetimes. Xia, you don't need to wait anymore. For all the years to come, from dawn till dusk, I will walk step by step right beside you. You keep walking forward, and I'll accompany you side by side. You turn your head, and I'll always be right behind you. I've owed you preferential love and cherishing for 2 lifetimes. The rest of our days are long. Let me use my whole life to slowly pay it back. All right. Li Xia buried herself in my embrace, listening to the deafening heartbeat within my chest. She finally couldn't hold back and sobbed out loud. yet smiled as she nodded vigorously, her hands tightly wrapping around my waist in return. The boy she had waited for so long had finally crossed through the life and death regrets of the past life and stumbled all the way toward her.